9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. President Trump says the U.S. will not use force to take Greenland, but he's still confident the U.S. needs the territory.
We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now.
He's at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. We'll provide updates of the event throughout the day. Here in Utah, we're learning more about a story we told you last week. Prosecutors have filed charges and revealed new details about a deadly shooting that happened by East High School. Salt Lake County prosecutors are now accusing 23-year-old Shane Hageman of shooting Tyson Scott Babb from his second-floor apartment last Wednesday near 750 South and 13th East. Charging documents say Hageman shot Babb in the back while Babb was stealing his bike. Hageman is now being charged with first-degree murder. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 467 points to 48,955. Coming up, sunshine and hazy. And we still have a few slow spots on the commute. Traffic and weather together is next. KSL News Time, 9:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Hi, this is Doug Ryden. For years, I've been telling you about products I truly believe in and that we use in our home. And one is Kinetico. We all know the downsides of hard water, tough on home appliances, frustrating spots on shower doors, but it also affects your personality. When you shower, does the water feel invigorating? Hard water can leave your skin feeling sticky and itchy. A Kinetico soft water system changes everything. It's like having a luxurious spa experience when you shower, making your daily routine something you look forward to. Kinetico, it's a difference you can feel. Their patented system uses far less salt than competitors, and they're exclusively focused on water softeners. They're the experts in their field, and they'll show you the difference for free with no obligation to buy. Call Kinetico Quality Water Systems of Salt Lake, an authorized independent dealer, at 801-576-8600, or check them out online at softwaterutah.com. Start enjoying your water. Spoil yourself every day.
It's not too late. If you got government health insurance again, especially here in Utah, this matters because a lot of families are paying more and getting less. Everyone focuses on the monthly premium, and yes, at My Policy Quote, I can help there. In fact, many of my Utah families are seeing 47% savings and even more on gold level plans. But the bigger issue shows up when you actually need care. The moment that university or blue insurance card hits the counter, prices jump, and with family deductibles now climbing to $20,000, all of that bill lands right back on you. My name is Mike. At My Policy Quote, I help individuals and families and businesses move into private insurance based on health, not income, so you're not overpaying for things you'll never use. That means lower costs, access to national PPO networks, and a plan chosen and managed by you, not the government. If you pay your own health insurance, you're on COBRA, uninsured, or your employer plan is just too much, even self-employed or small businesses, call me, Mike, today. 385-367-6779. Again, that's 385-367-6779. Or visit mypolicyquote.com. That's mypolicyquote.com to get started now.
You still thinking job change in the new year?
Yeah, I need something that's in high demand and more stable in this economy.
IT?
Yeah, cybersecurity, maybe even AI.
That's what I did.
Really? How?
Went to My Computer Career. You don't need any prior experience, and you could start your new career in a matter of months. A lot of IT pros go to school there, too, to level up.
Sweet. Are classes online or on campus?
Both.
Wow, I'll check it out. Thanks.
Make this your year. Take the free career evaluation now at mycomputercareer.edu, an Elite CompTIA certification partner. Financial aid is available to those who qualify, including VA benefits.
Are you 50 or older? This news is for you. The CDC recommends you get vaccinated against pneumococcal pneumonia. Even if you're healthy, your age puts you at risk. People 50 or older are over 6 times more likely to be hospitalized with pneumococcal pneumonia compared to adults 18 to 49. Just one shot can help protect you. Learn more and schedule at vaxassist.com. That's VAXassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bang. Jason, new crash, huh?
Yeah, just when we thought we were all clear, and then we end up with a new accident. We were seeing increased volume northbound I-15 in the Linden area, and that has led to an accident. It's at the top of the on-ramp of 1600 north there in Linden. That's where you're going to find it's a tanker truck over to the right side there. Now, it looks like the other vehicles that were involved, though, have cleared out, and we saw the emergency vehicle drive off as well. But you are going to be slow through that area. You're also slow on the southbound side as well. I think we did locate a tanker off to the side on the southbound as well on the right shoulder, but that one's not really blocking traffic. Hopefully these delays will get cleared out here now that these are off on the shoulder. The rest of your commute is looking really pretty good. We're not seeing any other major delays on I-15 or the side streets. Even 2100 North is looking better there in Lehigh. Got an old car? Donate it at carsforkids.org. It's easy, and they'll pick it up as soon as tomorrow. Call 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS today. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today looking at highs in the 40s again. Hazy skies will stick around. Hopefully, we can get that cleaned up before the weekend. Right now, it's partly cloudy and 28 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Welcome to Inside Sources. We're back in studio today. I'm Holly Richardson, and I'm joined by my co-host.
We had fun yesterday up at the Capitol. I'm Greg Skordas.
I know, Greg
Skordas.
He has to introduce himself. Look, we have a lot of things to talk about today, but we're going to start off by talking about a trial that's beginning today for a man who is accused of shooting a driver during a Black Lives Matter protest in Provo a number of years ago, actually.
Yeah, here's KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis.
The trial started with jury selection this morning for Jesse Taggart, who police say shot into the window of a car driven by Ken Dudley while he was driving through the protests. Dudley was hit in the elbow and drove himself to the hospital. Taggart's defense attorney has previously requested to have the trial dismissed, claiming the police haven't gathered crucial evidence and only took 26 minutes to examine the scene. The judge has denied the request. Brianna Willis, KSL News Radio.
Yeah, so what we're learning is the trial begins today for 39-year-old Jesse Keller Taggart. He's accused of attempting to shoot and kill someone during a Black Lives Matter event on June 30th of 2020 in Utah County. This one sort of slipped under the radar for me, I'll tell you. But looking at the facts of the case, it reminds us a little bit of the Renee Good case in Minneapolis, in as much as it involved the shooting into a car of a person who was driving away from an event, a protest event. So what's alleged to have occurred, Holly, is that it was this Black Lives Matter event. This Taggart, the defendant here, was with his girlfriend in a car, and they saw this other vehicle attempting to leave. It was driving toward a crowd of people, and I guess he got out of the car and fired at the driver of the vehicle, injuring the driver, shot the driver in the elbow. The car pulled away, and then Taggart and his girlfriend left the scene. He's charged with attempted aggravated murder, in other words, attempting to commit what would otherwise have been a death penalty case, which is itself a first-degree felony. He's charged with aggravated assault, that is assault by the use of a deadly weapon, which is a second-degree felony, felony discharge of a firearm, for obvious reasons, also a second-degree felony, a crime called riot for causing
chaos,
exactly,
okay,
during a crowded scene, and then an aggravated assault is a third-degree felony. 5 counts. Jury selection started this morning, just about a half an hour ago. The judge has set aside 7 days for this trial, and interestingly, there were a couple of motions that had been filed prior to the lead-up of this trial, and another thing about the case that is a little bit surprising to me is the crime is alleged to have occurred on June 30th, 2020.
It's 5.5 years ago, plus, yeah.
Right, and it didn't take long. I mean, they filed the case within days, so it's not like it was a whodunit and they had a hard time finding the suspect. They wrapped him up pretty quickly, and in fact, he was arrested within a couple days. And actually, I think the shooting occurred on the 29th. The police report says June 30th, but I think it was the day before. He was arrested on June 30th, I believe. It's taken a long time because there have been a lot of motions. And I'll tell you something else about delay in trials. We think about the whole concept of a speedy trial, and we just saw Charlie Kirk's widow file a motion on behalf of herself as a victim, saying, I think I have the right to a speedy trial, which we could spend a whole segment on victims' rights. In this case, Taggart, from my reading, has not been in custody. So speedy trial takes on a whole different definition when you're sitting in a jail as
Versus
opposed
at
to
home.
when you're not. Because you think about the prejudice that you suffer. If you're sitting in jail for 5.5 years waiting for a trial, you've already suffered a significant punishment. So the definition, well, I shouldn't say that. The way that we treat speedy trial is different if a person's in custody than if they're not.
Okay.
Nonetheless, he had a right to a speedy trial. He just has waived it repeatedly. So there's a speedy trial issue that has been waived. He filed a motion to change venue, saying, I don't think I can get a fair trial in Provo, and he filed that fairly recently to change venue. Now, this trial's in the 4th District, which includes Wasatch, Utah, and Juab counties. So if there's a change of venue, you stay within the 4th District.
Right.
So
instead of Provo, you go to Heber
City or Nephi.
Yeah.
Which of course we may end up dealing with the same thing on the Charlie Kirk shooting.
Right.
That case may end up going to one of those different counties. There's also that Michael Jane case, the guy that alleged to have shot the Santa Quinn police officer.
Oh, I think he ran into him with a semi.
Well, killed him with a. Yeah, obviously, I knew that.
I know.
With a car, yes. So Utah County is, I'm sure, the second largest county in the state by population. So it's unlikely that you'd get a change of venue when you're dealing with a county of that size.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure it's got several 100,000 people. Then he's also charged with an aggravated assault for. I was going to talk about the other motions that were filed that were fairly interesting here. His lawyers also filed a motion to have a 12-person jury.
Oh.
In Utah, we have a distinction. Misdemeanor trials are typically a 4-person jury.
Wow.
Unless it's a Class A, then it's a 6-person jury. If it's a felony of any level, with one exception, it's an 8-member jury. And the only time in Utah you get a 12-person jury is for a death penalty case.
Wow.
Now, in federal court, it's 12. Anytime you go to trial on a felony. In
12 angry men.
Exactly. So Utah is different. Most states have 12 jurors. Almost every state does. But Utah sort of cut it back in certain situations where you have 8. They wanted 12 here because of the fact that the first charge was an attempted aggravated murder. And in an aggravated murder case, an accused would have the right to 12. The judge says, well, it's not an aggravated murder. It's an attempted aggravated murder. We're not going to treat it as a death penalty case, and you don't get 12. And then, I know we're running out of time here, and I've got so much more to say. They had what's called a justification hearing, which is under our new law that allows an individual to go to the court and say, I was justified in doing this, and it shouldn't even get to jury.
Okay.
Because I was defending
right.
other people from this vehicle. And then they filed a motion to just dismiss the case outright, claiming that the police only preserved the scene for 26 minutes and then turned it loose. So they had this whole crime scene. They secured it for 26 minutes, and the defense is claiming there was a lot of evidence that could have been gathered during that time. You didn't gather it, and I, as the defendant, may be suffering as a result of that. I think the case should be dismissed. The judge has denied all those motions.
Wow.
But those are things, Holly, that if he is convicted, and it's set for a 7-day trial, we're, 90 minutes into day 1. But if
so 7 days in a row, and the first day is jury selection.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And I think there's one. It's not necessarily in a row, but 3 days this week and 4 days next week, beginning Tuesday.
Yeah, because today's Wednesday.
And a trial like this could go beyond 7 days. It may end sooner than 7 days, but the judge usually sets aside a time period that he or she thinks the trial will go. So we'll be watching that trial. And next week, later on in the week, we'll probably talk about the verdict, whatever it happens to be.
So interesting. Thank you for helping us understand that. Today is day 2 of 45 of Utah's legislative session, and we're going to talk about the top issues being heard on Capitol Hill today, including school cell phone bans, the education budget cuts, potentially, and more. So stay with us.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Does it feel like someone stabbing a knife into your heel? Or does your lower back give you problems as the day goes on? The Good Feet store wants to help you, like we helped Ann.
Every time I stood up, pain just shot up my legs. Fortunately, I found the Good Feet store. I went to them after my doctor diagnosed me with plantar fasciitis. And now, thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm 100%.
Wouldn't it be nice to get back to doing what you love, like Patrick did?
I was in constant pain. Somehow my fiance and I found our way into the Good Feet store. Put my foot on the arch support system. I put them in my shoes, my back, my knees, my ankles. Thank you. Thank you, everybody at the Good Feet store. You gave me my active life back.
Learn more or schedule an appointment at goodfeet.com and come in and get your free personalized fitting at the Good Feet store. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
I think my biggest challenge was getting through to him to understand that love is real and you have goals in mind, you have things that want to happen, and I want to help you get there.
Sometimes people tend to shy away from wanting to adopt teenagers because they feel like they've lost so much, but there's still so much to gain.
Just knowing that there's just that other person that cares and loves me out there, it feels great. And they've done so much for me, and I can only be appreciative every single day for just having them in my life.
I think it's been the best decision because I gained a son, and he's the best son ever. If I was down and out, he'd be there.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Ben Care was born with Cruzon syndrome, told he'd face a life of limits.
People do a lot for someone to notice them, just trying to get someone to pay attention to them. That's not your deal.
Impossible adversity didn't break him.
You will never live an ordinary life.
It fueled him.
So make it extraordinary.
Wrestling defined him. Courage shaped him, and refusing to be normal became his superpower.
We can make excuses, or we can just chew the excuses up and swallow them. And then you end up like Ben.
This is the true story of a young man who didn't just rise above the odds, he crushed them.
A local wrestler could have used his physical limitations to quit sports. Instead, he used it to his advantage.
Stand Out, the Ben Care story. In theaters now, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Get tickets at standoutfilm.com. When life says you can't, Ben Care proves you can. Standoutfilm.com.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. It drove me crazy. It got so bad, I couldn't do my homework. I couldn't concentrate. I absolutely refused to let any of my friends come to our house for any reason. I would have been humiliated if anyone found out how much my dad drank and how loud my mom screamed at him. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful. The only thing that happened is my mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. Her relationship with my dad really changed. I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings or to Alateen. I wanted to see if I could have a better relationship with my dad. I'm sure glad I did. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
This message comes from Viking, committed to exploring the world in comfort. Journey through the heart of Europe on an elegant Viking longship with thoughtful service, destination-focused dining, and cultural enrichment on board and on shore. With small ships that bring travelers closer to the destination, there's more time to explore. And every Viking voyage is all-inclusive, with no children and no casinos. Discover more at Viking.com.
Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
And it is day 2 of the Utah's legislative session. We were fortunate enough, Holly and I, to spend day 1 at the Capitol. We were up in the Supreme Court's old gathering place and met with a lot of legislators, and they were very forthcoming. It seemed like we had
so fun.
No problem getting. Even the governor came in and spoke to us. It was really a fun day. I'd like to go back up there again sometime. And I was surprised at you usually think of the first week or so as debates and meetings and conversations, but they've already taken a vote or two. It seems like
they did. They started voting on both the House and Senate floors yesterday, and when I came in and talked with Andy and Amanda, Andy was saying, "Well, how are they already voting?" So let me just explain that briefly. So we've talked before about the interim session. There's 6 days that they meet in between sessions, legislative sessions. As you get to the end of the year, then the committee can take a vote. Now, that doesn't mean that those bills become law, but what it does mean is they've had both representatives and senators listen to the bill, and the bills that came out with a, quote, committee recommendation, so unanimous or largely, at least majority, but those bills can be heard right away. And so that is what happened yesterday, is some of those bills that were in the interim committees were talked about and voted on the House floor and the Senate floor. So, for example, there was a bill on victims' rights that Representative Manga was the House sponsor for, passed unanimously off the House floor, and it's already over on the Senate side, where it has to be on the board for 24 hours before they can vote on it.
You read my mind, because I actually pulled up that very bill, and I was looking at the head note, and it said the Judiciary Interim Committee already recommended this bill by a vote of 13 for, 0 against, and 3 absent. So that would give lawmakers a good handle on where this bill has been so far.
Yeah.
And it's obviously every bill's assigned to an interim committee, I assume, based on its content.
No, not every bill, right? But but this bill was something that they worked on through the interim. It was, I think, a bill that just it really looks at, and you know more than I do, but it looks at creating, putting a commissioner over the Victims' Rights Commission, so that there's somebody kind of in charge.
So which house did it voted on it yesterday?
So the Utah House.
Okay.
And then it's just sent over to the Senate side. And so we talked with Representative Malga yesterday, and one of the things she said was it also doesn't need a committee hearing on the Senate side because it already did. So interim committees are bicameral, meaning they have both House and Senate, and they're bipartisan. So they have Republicans and Democrats. So it's just going to go straight to the Senate floor.
But the Senate won't necessarily vote on it today. I think you said...
They will not vote on it today because it has to be publicly noticed for 24 hours.
Okay. That's what I wanted to be clear on.
Unless, I guess technically, if it was, I don't know exactly what time it was voted on yesterday, sometime in the afternoon. They could do late afternoon today, but I don't think so. It's going to be tomorrow at the earliest.
Yeah, we met with Representative Mauga yesterday late morning, and it hadn't been voted on yet.
Right. It was, in fact, they didn't start those until 2 o'clock in the afternoon.
Right.
I will say this number. So this is going to be a fun number of the day every day. There are 504 bills drafted and ready for discussion. Yesterday there were 484. Today there's 504. And starting at 8 o'clock this morning, the appropriations subcommittees began meeting. And again, those are both House and Senate members who meet. They're going to have presentations, and those are going to continue for the first little bit of the session in the mornings, where people, government agencies, but other entities as well, are going to come and say, this is the money that we're requesting. This is our budget. This is what we need. And if you recall our conversations from last week, they have been asked, state agencies have been asked to cut 5% from their budget. So they will begin that process as they present their budgets. And in fact, in public education today, there will be a presentation from the State Board of Education.
We also spoke with Senator Fillmore yesterday about his bell-to-bell ban on cell phones. And that one seems to have at least gone through some level of committee, or at least, or is going through that today.
So that bill actually will be heard today. It didn't go through an interim committee that I can see, but it's on the agenda for the Senate Education Committee this afternoon, starting at 2 o'clock. He also has 5 other bills on that committee, so he's going to be presenting a lot today, and he's got a lot of bills that are related to school technology, but some other things too, including substitute teachers.
So there will be committee meetings today.
Yep.
And then there will be general session?
Yeah, so there's floor time as well. Thanks for those questions. So floor time, the way that works is they all get back together right after the appropriations meetings. They were scheduled to start at 8 o'clock. Floor time begins at 11 o'clock, and then they'll take a break for lunch, and then they'll come back for a short floor time at 1:30, and then they'll go to committee meetings in the afternoon.
Is every legislator, senator on a committee or two?
Multiple. Yeah.
Okay.
Every legislator's on.
No matter what party you
No matter what party, you're on at least one appropriations subcommittee, and you're usually on at least 2 of the regular topic-related committees.
Okay, and so Senator Fillmore is obviously on the Education Committee, and I think he's an educator.
Yeah,
so that
he's
would
been
make
involved
sense.
in charter schools for a long time.
This is a dumb question, but how does a representative get selected to a committee? Do they?
Well, sometimes it's random, right? I mean, when I came in, because I won in a special election, I just stepped into the spot that the previous person had been in. So I was on government appropriations and I think public utilities, which didn't have anything to do with what my background was in healthcare or anything else. Yeah. So sometimes it's that. Sometimes the freshmen, like even in the federal government, there's I don't even remember what they call them, but top tier committees. So there's ones that are more popular. Business and labor. And labor, super popular. People will volunteer to be on that one. Transportation can be. Political subdivisions sounds innocuous, but that's where election law goes. So super interesting right now. But basically, the Speaker of the House decides where those go. President of the Senate decides who goes on what committee. They make those assignments, and they're based after each election cycle. Who becomes the chair of the committee? Who's on the committee? Who's the vice chair of the committee? All of those things happen usually after an election.
What about the budget itself overall? Are there committees or committee that is considering? I mean, because otherwise that would seem to be a week-long vote and debate all by itself.
It's not.
It doesn't usually end up being that way.
Those are executive appropriations committees, and so by the time you get to the executive appropriations committees, and they'll start meeting I think they start meeting next week, but they're as you might expect, those are members of leadership who get together to talk about the budget. And each committee head for these subcommittees, they'll come in and they'll present, this is what our committee voted on, this is where we want to spend the money. And then the executive appropriations can take those recommendations or not. It's really executive appropriations where the actual decision-making happens.
So would the House Speaker or Senate President make committee assignments?
Yeah. And they're also on the Executive Appropriations Committee. Okay. Leadership is on the committee.
Right. Yeah, interesting. I mean, because it seems like you get a lot done through those committees to save a ton of time when the general session
you do.
gets
And it's been going for a while now, but this is kind of a change from the way they used to do it. Having everybody meet with these subcommittees and really kind of go into depth on these appropriations requests. That's not the way they used to do it, but they wanted to go back to saying, basically, we want to justify every year how we're spending taxpayer dollars. And that's when the legislature, and I can't remember what year, but sometime while I've been following the legislature, they decided that they were going to go back every year and have to justify this is why we need this. Because what happens is government creeps sometimes, or you get a program, it was good when it was implemented, but it's outgrown its usefulness, or there's no longer a need. And if you never look at those again, then you just keep funding it without realizing that you're funding it. It's like you and I on our personal budgets. We sign up for a subscription and then we just keep paying forever.
Okay, and just in the last minute, when and how do subcommittees meet? Is it just how they choose? Because they're meeting before the session starts.
No,
right?
this session has started. I mean, so they're...
Right, no, but some have met before.
The appropriations, yeah, they'll have conversations during the interim, just like all the other committees too.
Okay.
But largely now the work of appropriations has begun.
Okay, very well. Well, I learned a lot from you yesterday and today. Well, let's continue our Eye on the Hill coverage next. There is too much tech in classrooms, or is there too much tech in classrooms? When we come back, we'll explore where to draw the line. Representative Ariel DeFay joins us next. Stay with us.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Utah Chief Justice Matthew Durant is addressing the growing tension between legislators and government branches. In his State of the Judiciary, he said Utah lawmakers are united by their care for the people.
You each bring different voices, each equal in authority, if not in volume, but you are united in your dedication to serving Utah's citizens.
But Durant closed his speech with a warning, saying a lack of trust in state institutions can threaten the freedom and prosperity we have now. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: a member of the Federal Reserve Board, whom President Trump had tried to fire, has her day in the Supreme Court today.
The law says a member of the Federal Reserve Board can be removed for cause, but the law doesn't define that term. The administration argues Biden appointee Lisa Cook deserves to be fired for making misrepresentations on 2 mortgage applications, claiming each property was her primary residence. Cook argues those allegations have never been proven or even tested in court. Board Chair Jerome Powell, who's now himself the subject of a probe over the Fed's ongoing renovation, will be on hand for the argument.
ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 462 points. That's almost a full percent to 48,951. Coming up, they cleared the crash in Utah County on the freeway. We'll check traffic and weather together next. KSL News Time, 9:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
When you're making resolutions for the new year, have you ever thought of making a resolution to get a new metabolism?
So that your body is burning fat more naturally? I used to have a terrible metabolism because I didn't know what to eat or when to eat it until I did Soda weight loss. I let go of 37 pounds, and now my metabolism works for me.
I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and it was so nice because once that metabolism changes, the things that affected you more regularly don't affect you anymore. And those are the things that I learned from my nutritionist as I was going along and even afterward. It's so helpful. They taught me how to be successful for life.
You can call and speak to a nutritionist at Soda Weight Loss today at 866-800-SODA, S-O-T-A. That's 866-800-SODA.
Or you can go to sodaweightloss.com and see the hundreds of before and after pictures. And right now is the best time to do it because if you join now, your partner joins for free, so you get 2 transformations for the price of 1.
It's 866-800-SODA.
Because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art.
Bad driving habits are hard to break, but good driving habits are easy to form, especially when they can lead to a discount on your auto insurance. With Farm Bureau Financial Services, the safer you drive, the more you save. Drivers like you are saving an average of $321 per vehicle. So buckle up, learn more, and find an agent at fbfs.com/save. Individual savings results may vary. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company.
Since 1947, Whipple Service Champions has been Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Got a high-priced repair bill from another company and you're just not sure about it? Call Whipple. Get a free no-pressure estimate or bring in their quote for an honest second opinion totally free. Whipple Service Champions is Utah's first place for second opinion since 1947. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. 385-273-7167.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
When your check engine light comes on, do you see a repair bill or do you see peace of mind? For 20 years, CarShield's been the name America trusts to help keep you on the road. While other companies stop covering you when your car gets older, CarShield offers protection plans up to 200,000 miles. With over $1 billion in claims paid, we don't just promise protection, we deliver it. Don't let a breakdown break your budget. Get the flexible month-to-month coverage you deserve. Go to CarShield.com. That's CarShield.com today.
Traffic and weather together on KSL News Radio, brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at UCCU.com. Jason Jones.
Andy, all of the accidents that we have cleared out now, so we're looking pretty good even down in Utah County. That's been the trouble spot of the morning, but both of those accidents that we had, both northbound and southbound in the Pleasant Grove area, are clear, even though there is still one car off to the side of the road, but not affecting traffic there. And the rest of I-15 looking really good through the Salt Lake Valley. No problems. Southbound in Weber and Davis counties. Even 2100 north in Lehigh is looking so much better now. Are you on the hunt for that next big hunt? Then head to huntexpo.com and you'll find it. Western Hunting and Conservation Expo, February 12th through the 15th at the Salt Palace Convention Center. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather looking at highs in the 40s again today. Hazy skies sticking around. But maybe there's a chance we can get that cleaned up before the weekend if the right wind blows through. Right now, though, it is 30 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio. Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
Is there too much technology in classrooms? That was something we talked about yesterday, and it's something our legislature is dealing with now. We talked about the fact that artificial intelligence is sort of coming down the path, and something that maybe it's good, maybe it's bad, but I think our schools and our teachers need to get a handle on it, and apparently our legislature does as well, before it replaces learning.
You know, it's an interesting discussion, and it's one that, as you mentioned, is going to be discussed on the Hill. And, you know, I think for me, one of the questions is, if we went too far to embrace technology, are we going to go too far in unembracing it? I am interested in hearing from our listeners, and you can text us at 57500 and let us know if you think that reliance on technology in classrooms has gone too far, and especially maybe in the elementary school grades. But somebody to talk to us about one of the bills is Representative Ariel DeFay, who is joining us on the phone today.
Hi, good morning. Happy to be here.
Happy birthday, Representative.
Oh, thank you. I get to spend it with all my closest friends.
That's right. That's right. Look, we want to talk to you about your bill, about its technology and AI in the classrooms. And I wonder if you can just set up again for our listeners what this bill is aiming to do.
Yes, this is it is House Bill 273, and it's called the Balance Act is what we were calling it. And really, it came from my own life experience, having children in elementary, junior high, and high school, and seeing how much technology they were using in the classroom, and then also getting results locally and statewide that this introduction of technology isn't enhancing or increasing our education outcomes, and in some cases maybe hindering it. So what this aims to do is to just have a more balanced approach to the technology we're using in classrooms, and aims to make sure that children are learning the fundamentals in reading and writing and critical thinking, and then slowly introducing technology as they get older in their grades.
Representative DeFay, I'm also looking at one of the requirements of the bill, and that is that the State Board of Education is to include artificial intelligence standards in certain of their education. I mean, are there guardrails for this in the bill, or are we giving the State Board of Education some leeway or maybe a little bit of both?
Yes, a little bit of both. So yeah, right now it's a little bit vague. We want them to create a policy that adds artificial intelligence into the core standards so that we can teach our students what artificial intelligence is, how it can play a part in our lives, in our careers, in our educations, and also help them to be prepared to interface with it and also know the drawbacks that can maybe, and some we don't even know, result from using artificial intelligence. We may be adding a little more clarification in that provision of the bill to ensure that the state board has a clear direction on how parents and teachers would like to see those standards in the code going forward.
So, Representative, the bill, this is not the personal technology. This isn't cell phones. This is laptops or tablets being used in the classroom. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. So this is the technology that's being used in the classroom. So tablets and personal computers, and then also the kind of software that is being used on those devices as you're using. We want to make sure that all the technology and the programs that are being used are geared towards educating our children, are science-based, and are data-backed and effective in helping our children in learning.
Is a lot of this, Representative, in response to the fact that artificial intelligence has now sort of invaded our educational process and we need to get on top of it?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, part of it is because we saw cell phones come into the schools and we were a little bit reactive, right? We're just now getting to banning cell phones or putting more regulations around cell phones, but we saw that it really was quite detrimental to our youth to just hand them cell phones without guardrails. And we don't want that to happen again with artificial intelligence because it's even more powerful. And so we want to make sure that we are monitoring it closely and we have a very proactive and balanced approach as we use AI in education.
So we're speaking with Representative Ariel DeFay, and it's her birthday today. So if you see her, say happy birthday. But I wonder, I just wonder, are we going to stay competitive with 21st century education? Because it feels like there's been so much focus when we talk about kids who are graduating from high school. They need to meet workforce demands, and workforce demands, a lot of them include being able to be really proficient at using technology.
Yes, I absolutely think it does. In fact, I think it even gives us more of a competitive advantage because it's helping our students to think critically and learn how to learn. And that is something that we are starting to lose. The data is showing that this next generation is actually is performing lower on critical thinking and standardized tests than generation prior. And that hasn't happened in any generation since we've started tracking data. And so we know that something is happening. And I think that we're losing the ability to learn. And I think if we can return to thinking critically, that will help students in the workforce. They'll pick up the technology. We're not eliminating it. That's pretty intuitive, and we're going to ensure that we have CTE courses and plenty of opportunities. We have digital citizenship and digital literacy requirements in high school. It will still be required, but we want to ensure that our students are good at learning and are good at making decisions and working with others.
And as this bill gets closer and closer to the floor, what response or maybe input is a better word, have you had so far from both teachers and parents?
Yeah, it's been very, very positive. Teachers have been very positive and supportive. They understand because they're seeing it on the front lines that the technology isn't always the answer. They do say, that some technology can work and can be an aid, and some can deter and distract from learning. And so I think they're very supportive of this balanced idea, using it in the right way. Parents are elated. They are so happy, and every time I talk about this bill, they say, what can we do to get it through? Because they see it, they feel it in their own homes when their children are bringing home these devices, and parents have very little control over the device, and parents have very little idea of what children are doing as they're navigating schoolwork on the computer. And so parents are just thrilled.
We only have about a minute left, but I have, again, a follow-up question, and that is this, that I have a sixth grader right now, and she uses tech in the classroom. So, for example, when they do their math homework, they do it on a device. When they do their reading homework, they can do it on a device. They do read physical books as well. But is this going to really change how teachers are teaching?
It will, for the mostly impact in K through 6 or in elementary, yes. So in elementary school, what it will do is it will require all tech to be used in the classroom, but not sending any devices home or any homework assigned on a device at home. So your sixth grader would still learn on a computer and would still have access to technology. However, she or any sixth grade student would not be assigned homework on a device and take that device home. K through 3, we would try and eliminate computers almost completely, just teaching them core standards and what they need to know to pass tests on computers and some real basics. But we want to focus on those fundamentals in that young age of reading and writing and critical thinking.
Thank you so much, Representative. We're going to follow this bill throughout its lifetime during this session. And we want to hear from you. Has tech gotten out of control in classrooms? Is it time to reel it in? And how do we keep our kids educated for the 21st century? You can call us at 801-575-TALK or text us at 57500. Stay with us over the break.
If you've ever set New Year's resolutions before, you know how difficult it is to follow through because you have to wait to see the results. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and in honor of your New Year, New You resolutions, Any Hour Services is having our New Year, New System sale. From now until the end of February, Any Hour Services will give you $2,026 off a new furnace and air conditioner. And you don't have to wait to save the money. You get $2,026 off at the time of purchase. The only thing you have to do to qualify for our New Year, New System sale is call Any Hour Services and schedule a free estimate. When you call, there's no obligation to buy. Just schedule a time to meet that works best for you. Let me say that again. From now until the end of February, when you have Any Hour Services install a new furnace and air conditioner, we'll give you $2,026 off. Call Any Hour Services right now and schedule a free estimate. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
You trust us for news and information in your car. Now trust us at home. KSL News Radio has you covered, keeping you informed on the latest breaking news, weather, traffic, sports, and more. Listen on your Amazon Echo or Google Home device. Just say, Alexa, open KSL News Radio. Or listen on the KSL News Radio Listen app. Text the word app to 57500. KSL News Radio. We have you covered.
I'm a pretty great multitasker. I can wash dishes and do laundry. I can roller skate while walking my dog. I can even order lunch while doing my homework. But I can't use my phone while driving. A distracted driver is one of the leading causes of death in the United States. So when it comes to driving, please, don't be a multitasker.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Amy Cox did something smart. She saved hundreds on auto insurance switching to Progressive. And with that money, she decided to treat herself to an anti-aging red light mask. Will she look like a horror movie villain every night? Yes. Will her boyfriend Kevin be scarred for life? That's certainly a risk. But it's Amy's savings, and if she's willing to risk her relationship for smooth, wrinkle-free skin, well, bye-bye, Kevin. Switch and see if you could save with Progressive and treat yourself. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
At Social Security, we are always thinking of ways to save you time and make things easier. That's why we created My Social Security. Opening a My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal record and interactive tools tailored for you. You can see if you are eligible to receive benefits, view spousal benefit estimates, and compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates when you want to start receiving benefits. Already receiving benefits? Use your account to change your address, set up or change direct deposit, get a proof of income letter, and more. In most states, you can also request a replacement Social Security card. Save time. Go online. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Join Mike Stevens of Capital Wealth Advisors for Retire Right Radio, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's Retire Right Radio with Mike Stevens, Saturdays at 5 a.m. and 9 p.m.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel you attract people who tend to be compulsive or abusive?
Do you have money problems because of someone else's drinking?
Are you afraid or embarrassed to bring your friends home?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
More than half of all adults have a family history of alcoholism.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
Al-Anon and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
And expanded Inside Sources.
I'm going to take you back 51 years, Holly. I showed up at chemistry, my final exam. This was 1975, the year I graduated from high school. And I walked into the exam with a calculator. It was about the size of my current tablet, and no one else had one. We were doing everything with a slide ruler. And the teacher and the other students were not quite sure what to do. Did it give me a competitive advantage because I could do math much quicker than everyone else? And I just recall the consternation this poor teacher had looking at me going, okay, is Skordas cheating because he's got this calculator? And he let me use it. And, of course, the rest is history because other kids, the calculators got more and more sophisticated and smaller.
Now you can buy one at the dollar store.
Right, yeah. By the time I graduated from engineering school in college, 4 years later, we had they were a little bit smaller, but they were not anything like what we have today. Like you can do high-tech math on your phone now.
Oh, yeah. And that's the thing. I think we've struggled to figure out what's the right relationship between advances in technology and education. And we're having that conversation on the Hill with a variety of bills that I think are looking to rein in technology a little bit. It's not just social media stuff. It's literally, are we having computers and tablets in classrooms? And we just talked with Representative Ariel DeFay, and she said especially on the K through 3 level, she doesn't think we should have them. So we did ask our texters to let us know if they think tech has gotten out of control in the classrooms and whether it's time to reel it in. I'm personally curious to know how teachers might feel, but we do have a couple of texters so far. You want to know what they said?
Good or bad, yeah.
Okay. Well, one texter says they think there is too much tech in the elementary aged area for kids in public school, and they go to a charter school where they limit tech in the classroom. And this texter says they've seen great results in their kids, much different than other schools who focus on and introduce tech way too early. One of the things I know about that is class sizes can really, really be an issue. And it's one way to say, look, you can go work on your math lesson on your tablet while I work with this small group over here in person. And this says, too, don't forget that when students go home, they can use the home devices that parents have control over. Kids are sharp. They can go 8 hours without computers.
But I think still at that age, you need to learn reading, writing, and arithmetic. And you can't have AI doing it for you because otherwise you're going to be in trouble when you get later on in life.
Even though that's part of her bill, I agree. AI and tech almost seem like separate issues to me.
Right. No, I agree. And I understand. It just, to me, I only because I used AI for the first time this last weekend. I'd written this long letter to a client, and then I had AI fix it and make it pretty, and or else it was some grammar. Anyway, some app. So it did help with my writing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was tech.
Yeah.
That it made me think I'm a terrible writer because it changed so much of what I did, and then I changed a little bit of it back because it wasn't my words.
You know, that's an interesting discussion, right? About when are we ready to introduce AI? And I'm teaching a college level class right now down at UVU. It's public speaking, and I mean the syllabus. It's really clear. Do not use AI for this, right? They have to be able to stand up and do these speeches in front of their classmates, and if they're just telling AI, write me a speech, it's not going to be.
And then you just get up and read it. Right.
Right. That's not going to get to the skills they're trying to engender.
Right. And you still have to learn addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. I mean, you still have to go through those things. You can't just have a calculator do that.
I don't know that that's true, my friend.
Oh,
I'm terrible at multiplication, to be honest. So if I can't do it on my fingers or in my head quickly, then I use a calculator.
See, I'm a math geek, and I'm doing math all the time. I'm always working out. I'm on my bike.
My husband is too.
He's a car.
He's a software engineer.
I'm looking at the mileage. I'm looking at the distance. I'm looking at how long it's going to take me to get from here. I'm doing math.
Well,
all the time.
I can do some of that, right?
Okay.
But look, when I had to take the GRE to get into graduate school, they like kicked me out when I couldn't pass basic. I don't know, multiplying fractions. Like, I don't remember any of that stuff anymore because if I can do, like, for cooking, if I need to quadruple a batch, I can do that in my head, right? But I use a calculator. So we do have some sound from our interview with Representative DeFay. She talked about the motivation behind this legislation.
Really, it came from my own life experience, having children in elementary, junior high, and high school, and seeing how much technology they were using in the classroom, and then also getting results locally and statewide that this introduction of technology isn't enhancing or increasing our education outcomes, and in some cases maybe hindering it. So what this aims to do is to just have a more balanced approach to the technology we're using in classrooms, and aims to make sure that children are learning the fundamentals in reading and writing and critical thinking, and then slowly introducing technology as they get older in their grades.
And with respect to critical thinking, she indicated that there's some evidence that this generation coming up right now is lacking in critical thinking.
Helping our students to think critically and learn how to learn. And that is something that we are starting to lose. The data is showing that this next generation is actually is performing lower on critical thinking and standardized tests than generation prior. And that hasn't happened in any generation since we've started tracking data. And so we know that something is happening. And I think that we're losing the ability to learn. And I think if we can return to thinking critically, that will help students in the workforce. They'll pick up the technology. We're not eliminating it. That's pretty intuitive, and we're going to ensure that we have CTE courses and plenty of opportunities. We have digital citizenship and digital literacy requirements in high school. It will still be required, but we want to ensure that our students are good at learning and are good at making decisions and working with others.
I think one of the things that's important, we hear about critical thinking, and I'm not sure that everybody is familiar with what that actually is. Like, what do we mean when we say critical thinking? What do you think?
I think it's thinking outside the box and thinking, solving a problem or working through a problem that there isn't necessarily a straightforward solution to.
And even if there is, look, I think so. I'm looking at some definitions, but critical thinking is the ability to analyze, I think, right?
Right.
And say, like, I've done media literacy classes before, for example, and you can look at advertisements sometimes and say, okay, what is it they're trying to sell here? And why are they using those types of images, for example? Being able to analyze and to look at things like that, to interpret and make a judgment. And I think that has to do with news. It has to do with what people read in textbooks, and I think it helps students and adults who hopefully were lifelong learners be able to look at information that we're getting and saying, okay, is there another side to this story? Is there somebody whose voice is missing from this conversation? Is this actually true, right? Is the sky actually blue? Well, technically it's not, right? Right? It's being able to ask those kinds of questions and feel like it's okay to say, look, I don't understand this, but I'm not sure that rings true, and here's why.
Right. Yes. And I think of my own practice of the law and think, can artificial intelligence overcome take place of the critical thinking that's needed there? And I just don't see that happening.
Yeah. Right.
I don't see how you can have a computer do a cross-examination of a witness,
Right.
because you got to think on your feet,
Right.
or do a closing argument, or replace a jury. I mean,
Right.
that's just not going to happen.
That's frightening, right?
Right.
Because AI has biases built in.
Sure.
Right? Whoever programmed it, they have biases built into AI.
Right, and a judge making decisions on the fly with respect to evidence and information that's coming in. I mean, you can
AI judges.
You can plug in the rules of evidence to an AI, but I don't know that. I mean, some of it just has to be a little bit of a judgment call sometimes. Sometimes you just have to let a judge say, okay, in this case, it may not be on all four squares with the rules of evidence, but I'm going to let it in, or maybe the opposite.
Interesting.
When we come back, I'll share some of the bills I'm keeping an eye on, and we'll recap the Utah's state of the judiciary as tensions have been rising between the different branches of government. We heard yesterday from the Chief Justice of the Utah Supreme Court, who addressed the legislature and had a little bit of a cool reception. We'll break that down when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
10 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. The Big 12 released this fall's football schedules, and the BYU-Utah rivalry game will be Saturday, November 7th at Rice-Eccles Stadium. BYU also says their game hosting Notre Dame will take place on October 17th. Utah hosts Arkansas on September 12th and then begins Big 12 play at Iowa State on September 26th. We're learning new details about the man who police say attacked a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints meeting house in Michigan. New documents from Grand Blanc Township Police say Thomas Jacob Sanford made bomb threats towards other churches before he shot and killed churchgoers last September. And police say he made those threats to 911 just minutes before he started shooting. 4 people were killed, 8 others hurt. Sanford was shot and killed by police at the scene. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump meeting with world leaders in Davos, Switzerland at the World Economic Forum. And he spent some time talking about Venezuela.
20 years ago, it was a great country, and now it's got problems, but we're helping them. And those 50 million barrels, we're going to be splitting up with them, and they'll be making more money.
The president has also spent a good amount of time talking about Greenland, saying it's crucial for the U.S. to control the country to ensure peace in the region. But he said he would not use force to annex Greenland. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 291 points, tapering off a little bit from what it was up earlier. Right now it's at 48,788. Coming up, sunshine and more haze. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 10:01.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Are you living with dry AMD? If so, you could be on the road to geographic atrophy, or GA, a condition that leads to retinal cell death and permanent vision loss. But with Izervay, you can
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay slows GA progression by targeting a key source of retinal cell death, which may help preserve your vision longer. Izervay, or Avastin Capted Pagel, is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com. Paid for by Astellas Pharma.
Who is Farm Bureau Financial Services? At our core, we're relationship builders. We're home and auto bundlers, life insurers, farm and ranch protectors, and retirement planners. We're neighbors, community members, and friends. We're the people you can count on now and for years to come. Find a Farm Bureau agent at fbfs.com/protect. Farm Bureau Property and Casualty Insurance Company, Western Agricultural Insurance Company, Farm Bureau Life Insurance Company.
The United States is facing a mental health crisis, but there is hope.
At Huntsman Mental Health Foundation, they're transforming how mental health is treated and researched, bringing compassion, innovation, and access to those who need it most. Your donation helps fund life-saving care and cutting-edge research that leads to better treatment for everyone. It's already making a difference. Huntsman Mental Health Foundation has built Utah's first ever mental health crisis care center, open 24/7 to anyone, regardless of ability to pay. They've also recently launched a youth crisis care program at Huntsman Mental Health Institute, giving kids and teens immediate support. And Huntsman Mental Health Foundation is expanding services like therapy, medication management, geriatric care, and treatment-resistant support. Join us. Be part of the change. Donate today at hmhf.org. That's hmhf.org.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings, earn more. UCCU, love where you bank. Jason Jones?
Well, we still have a car off the side of the road, northbound I-15 in the Pleasant Grove area, but it's not affecting traffic, and we don't see any delays from that. In fact, I-15 itself is looking really good along the Wasatch Front, both north and southbound. From Payson up to Ogden, you're not going to find any real accidents or delays there. All the side streets, major feeders over to I-15 are also looking good. No other problems that we have, at least at this point this morning. Are you tired of dealing with missing teeth? Are you ready to ditch the dentures? The experts at Stubbs Dental can change your life with dental implants. Get started at stubbsdental.com today. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, looking at Salt Lake, getting a high of 46 degrees today, and expect the haze to keep building. We'll get the same temperature tomorrow, then temperatures start to drop a bit. The air should start to clear a bit on Friday. Right now it is 30 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Eye on the Hill 2026. Special coverage on Inside Sources.
And we are keeping an eye on the Hill. Of course, the Utah legislature started yesterday. They've actually passed a bill or two, or at least they're voting on a bill or two. And one of the things I was especially interested in, Holly, was, and we had a legislator talk to us about this. What is going on with the relationship between the legislature and the judiciary?
It's a little rocky.
And it's a little rocky right now, in large part because of the redistricting case and the decision made by a district court judge there. There was also the case involving the overturning of Roe versus Wade and how Utah's trigger law would go into effect. There were a couple of different things that have happened that the legislature is kind of going, wait a minute, to the district court judges, what are you doing? And so as per normal, the Chief Justice of the Utah Supreme Court did address the legislature, talking about the growing lack of public confidence in institutions.
I love this state, and I believe in our institutions. No, our institutions are not perfect, and so yes, they can be improved, but they are not the cesspools of corruption and self-interest that some would have you believe. They are largely composed of good and decent people who are genuine in their desire to serve well. That is true of Utah's legislature. It is true of Utah's judiciary. In recent years, we have witnessed a startling decrease in confidence in our public institutions. I believe this threatens the core values that have made the United States a beacon of hope in the world.
And we've seen our legislators take on the judiciary in ways that, at least for me personally as an attorney, I have not seen before publicly. And the Chief Justice brought up the issue of disagreements being healthy, but he said when it turns into a public, more issues arise.
There can and should be substantive disagreements, both within our respective institutions and between them. These disagreements are to be celebrated, and valid criticism should always be welcome. They're signs of healthy institutions. The problem comes when we cross over from substantive disagreement to personal attack, to attacks on motive, integrity, and good faith. This erodes public confidence in our institutions. On those rare occasions when we strike down one of your statutes as unconstitutional, we carefully and dispassionately explain why. You will never read an opinion where we challenge your integrity or good faith. I ask that you pay us the same courtesy in challenging our decisions. Do it on the merits, not through impugning our integrity. Disagreement is inherent in our system of government. Public disparagement of another branch is not. While polarized us versus them rhetoric has become common in national circles, it is not and should not be the norm here.
Now, that was pretty telling to hear our Chief Justice talk to the legislature that way, because the judiciary has been under attack. And what he said, and I think it was pretty poignant, was, look, we don't ever attack our legislators when we're deciding the constitutionality or the legality of laws. Why are you attacking us for defining what's going on?
Well, and not just attacking, but impugning motive, and basically there are personal attacks, right? I mean, I think you've seen that in the redistricting case, and let's be honest, that's really what this is all about. There are some other cases as well, as you've mentioned, right? And there's some anger there, but the redistricting case is one with Proposition 4 and the 3rd District Court judge who was assigned to that. It's one where they've called her names. They've said that she
should be impeached.
Right. They said that she was legislating from the bench, that she was an activist, right? Left-wing liberal. And it's like she was appointed and confirmed by a Republican governor, Republican-dominated Senate, right? I mean, they're don't impugn motive, right? And that was one of the things I think the Chief Justice was saying.
So our trial courts in Utah largely are what we call the district court. Now, they're the justice courts, the municipal courts, that we don't need to talk about that right now. But we have trial court judges, the district court, which are what we're talking about here. And there are, we did the math during the break, 78 in Utah.
Mm-hmm.
There are 7 Court of Appeals judges and 5 Supreme Court justices. What I had some concern about, and what bothered me, and I think the Chief Justice reiterated this as well, is that the backlog in cases, the judges that are overwhelmed are not our appellate court judges. The Supreme Court is handling its caseload. The
Right.
Court of Appeals is handling its caseload.
Right.
The district court judges, I mean, I'm not kidding. I've been in Utah County,
Hundreds.
and I've seen a judge with 200 cases on a calendar.
For one day.
For one day. Now,
Wow.
you think about, even if you're in session for 6 hours divided by 200, that's not very much time per case. And yesterday I was in court. I got there at 1 o'clock, and the judge said, I'm still doing the 9 o'clock calendar.
Wow.
I'm going to go for a little while longer, and then I'm going to take a break so my staff can take a break, and then we'll get to the 1 o'clock calendar, which started about 3 o'clock. So the Chief Justice said this. He said, because I'm making a long version go even longer, but the legislature is considering adding 2 justices to the Utah Supreme Court, making it go
Right.
from 5 to 7.
Right.
Adding 2 judges to the Utah Court of Appeals, having it go to 7 to 9.
Right.
What he said was, if we need more judges,
It's
let's
not
go
at
to
that
the
level.
district court level. We don't need them at the appellate court level. We're getting things done. But the district court, the trial court judges, they're the ones that are overwhelmed. And it's district by district. I'm not saying that Salt Lake or Utah counties are worse than others, because I've been in some of these rural counties. Those
Right.
poor judges, you might be the only judge on the bench that day.
Right.
In some of the more rural counties. And you're doing divorces and criminal cases and collections cases and protective orders, and it's not like the kind of calendar we do in Salt Lake where a judge can say,
Like a rural doctor, right?
Right,
You have
yeah,
to do
exactly.
everything.
Right, and so those are the courts that I think need a little bit of love right now from the legislature. And I would hope, if we are considering expanding the judiciary, that we consider placing more judges at the trial court level, where the rubber hits the road and where we're having this huge backlog, instead of the Supreme Court and the Court of Appeals. And I also recognize what the Chief Justice says, that a lot of what's going on here is knee-jerk reaction to decisions that are being made at the trial court level that the Supreme Court is either affirming or following, and so the legislature is going, you guys don't get it. But I don't think that adding 2 justices to the Utah Supreme Court is going to change the political makeup of the court.
Well, that's also true.
It's just not going to do that. And like you said, every justice on the Utah Supreme Court was appointed by a Republican governor, was confirmed by a largely dominated Republican Senate. Every judge in Utah district, because let's face it, we haven't had a Republican governor this century, and there are no judges that were appointed that are still on the bench in the 90s that I can think of. I mean, they're largely retired by now. So
Shauna Graves Robertson.
Well, she's a justice court judge,
which is different.
It's a little bit different animal. And she's a great judge, by the way. We had so much fun with her. But you're right. But most of our trial court judges they're Republican appointees.
Sure.
That doesn't necessarily mean that they're more conservative thinking, but I think it's unfair to put them in a box of liberal activist judges when in fact, hey, you selected them and you approved them.
Yeah. Interesting. So we're going to pay attention to what you're following too, for sure. Look, I have to tell you, I found this just shocking. Utah Senator Mike Lee has advocated for public execution twice in the last week for Tyler Robinson. He wants him executed publicly. We'll talk about that when we come back.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried, because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Almada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com, or Google The Stern Team.
The more you listen to your kids, the closer you'll be. So we asked kids, what do you want your parents to hear?
I feel sometimes that I'm not listened to. I would just want you to listen to me more often and evaluate situations with me and lead me towards success.
We're not adults, so just be there and listen. I just want someone to yap to. And I just feel like I'll be fine if someone just hears me talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk.
You're doing a really good job. And I don't think I tell you that enough. And I know sometimes we get into it and it's just hard on both of us. But, try to understand me more and I'll try to do the same.
Listening is a form of love. Find resources to help you support your kids and their emotional well-being at sounditouttogether.org. That's sounditouttogether.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and Pivotal.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you want to walk, play pickleball, and enjoy other fun activities to stay healthy, but you can't because of bad feet? Hi, this is Mike, and the Good Feet store wants to help.
I just had difficulty walking. I tried them on in the store, and my foot felt so much better.
Do you keep buying new shoes and inserts with little or no relief?
I tried all kinds of shoes. It was the arch supports that made the difference from the Good Feet store.
Don't let bad feet, knees, or back problems get in the way of staying healthy and having fun.
Thanks to the Good Feet store, I'm bowling 3 nights a week.
Get back to doing what you love. At the Good Feet store, we'll personally fit you at high-quality arch supports to maximize your comfort. Stop in the Good Feet store or book your free fitting at goodfeet.com. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
When your car is making a strange noise, no matter what it is, you can't just pretend it's not happening.
That's an interesting sound.
It's like your mental health. If you're struggling and feeling overwhelmed, it's important to do something about it. It can be as simple as talking to someone in your community, or just taking a deep, calming breath when you need it. Nice. For mental health resources, check out loveyourmindtoday.org. At loveyourmindtoday.org, you'll find information that may help you get through a tough time. Things like tips for dealing with stress, how to navigate difficulties like financial worries, anger, substance use, and more. You can also find real stories of how people navigated their own mental health challenges. Because once you start to address the problem, you can go so much further. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
At Fisher Investments, we may seem like other money managers, but we're different.
Are you really that different than the rest of us?
We are. As a fiduciary, we always focus on what's best for our clients.
What services do you offer besides investing?
We have a team of specialists in financial planning, estate planning, and more.
Your clients rely on you for all that?
Yes, we ensure clients receive unparalleled service at every step of the relationship.
Okay, but you still sell commission-based products, right?
No, because we believe that's a conflict of interest. We prioritize service over sales goals.
So, then how do your fees work?
We have a simple and transparent fee that's a percentage of our clients' portfolios. So we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, we're more different than I thought.
At Fisher Investments, we're clearly different. Learn more at fisherinvestments.com.
Investing in securities involves the risk of loss.
People think saving money is hard, but really, it's easy. It's as simple as changing a few spending habits. For free tips on how to save the easy way, check out feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
The new Inside Sources.
Okay, I have to, respond to this one. But Senator Mike Lee is now advocating for the public execution of Tyler Robinson, the man who has been accused but hasn't even had a trial yet in the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk. And how did he make that known?
So, Twitter or X. So he has his Based Mike Lee account, which is the one that he posts on really, really often. He posts a lot there. But he was responding to Erica Kirk, Charlie Kirk's widow, to her request that she wants to see a speedy trial in the case of Tyler Robinson, who is accused of killing her husband, Charlie Kirk. And so he responded and said, execute Tyler Robinson in public, right? And then a few days later, he reiterated it again on X and said, execute Tyler Robinson in public.
So I don't know that I equate the two. So Erica Kirk is saying, as a representative, as a victim representative, I would like to exercise my right to a speedy trial. I think there should be a speedy disposition of this case. How that has anything to do with a speedy public execution, I don't know. And also, I would say this, and I've heard things about Mike Lee as an attorney, that he was an outstanding lawyer. I mean, everyone that talks to me about Mike Lee's legal prowess says, boy, when he was a lawyer, it didn't get much better, which begs the question, how could you be talking about a public execution of a person who is today
hasn't even had a trial,
presumed innocent? Now,
right.
I think we know the state has a compelling case. There's a lot of evidence in this case. I don't know how it's going to shake out. It may very well shake out to a finding of guilt. We don't know, but we're so far ahead of ourselves saying he should be publicly executed. What about a trial first? What about a jury hearing the case? I mean, and what does that do to the jury if you're a juror and you've learned that one of your representatives is saying,
yeah, he's
the
the senior senator for the state of Utah, right? And so that was he also said this when I said he had a second tweet. It is Tyler Robinson publicly executed Charlie Kirk. Tyler Robinson should be publicly executed. So again, like he's convicted already. He's convicted Tyler Robinson on X without any kind of due process,
right,
which seems interesting for a constitutional attorney.
But and even if it's true that Tyler Robinson publicly executed Charlie Kirk, was there anything good about that? I mean, is this something we want to replicate? You know what I mean? And besides that, here's how we do executions in Utah in 2026. Lethal injection.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't even know what that looks like.
You can't even do firing squad anymore.
No.
It's gross. Yeah, to me, it's gross. And I think it's disrespectful to advocate for taking of a life in a public venue. I think it's terrible when it happens. I think Charlie Kirk's death was terrible. But I think it reminds me of going back to the days in the United States where people held public lynchings, and it's just so deeply disturbing. Look, I have friends who I told them we were going to talk about this, and they just said, look, there are prison officials who want to abolish the death penalty because they've been involved in executions, even within the judicial system, and it is traumatic and traumatizing.
Well, I can tell you this, having prosecuted and defended death penalty cases, it's traumatic to be involved in a case where you are responsible in large part for the life or death of a person, whether it's the accused or whether it's your client. I mean, it's a pressure I don't like and I don't put on anyone. But, I mean, the death penalty is here in the United States. It's probably here to stay, at least for the foreseeable future. In fact, if anything, it's being expanded. The federal government didn't have a death penalty until not long ago. In fact, during the Biden administration, there were no death penalty case. He didn't advocate for any death penalty. Federally.
Yeah.
The states can still do what they want. Of course, Trump has changed the nature of that a little bit and said, maybe the feds should ramp up their death penalty prosecution. So it's here to stay, I guess, is my point. But taking it to the next level and making it public, and I don't know, I would say this for Senator Lee, to give him the benefit of the doubt, it may have just been rhetoric. It may have just been, this person did something publicly that has caused so much grief in our community, and it has here in Utah. It's awful for the people there, that maybe there should be some retribution for that.
Well, retribution is what happens when somebody who is charged with a crime is convicted, and then there's a sentence afterwards. It's not this beforehand stuff. So let me ask you about due process, right? So we've already had discussions on our show about biasing the jury in Utah because so many people saw it, right?
Right.
Both in person, people were there at UVU, but also people who saw it online. And now I think what happens when you have the senior senator for the state, he doesn't call him Charlie Kirk's alleged killer. He calls him Charlie Kirk's killer. And how does that play into maybe jury selection?
It makes it tougher. But I'll tell you, it could also backfire. If you're a juror and you sit through this trial and you see Tyler Robinson as a young man with no prior criminal history who did the most horrible thing you could imagine, but you sit there and look at him for 2 or 3 weeks, and then you're asked at the end of the day, should we execute him or not? And you're thinking in your back of your head, should he be executed on network TV or not? You might take a different view of that. You might say, you know what? I don't think this kid should go through that. I mean, execution in the back, the back room of the Utah State Penitentiary is one thing, but on Fox News, I don't know. I think that a juror thinking about that might pause.
Yeah.
Really,
yeah.
I really believe that.
Look, we're seeing what I think is an increase in dangerous rhetoric, right? I think we're certainly seeing that. I'm disappointed to see that it comes from a senior senator. But this is not the first time that Senator Lee has posted something on X that was pretty, I would say, outlandish. I mean, he had to take it down. But if you remember about the shootings in Minnesota for the Democratic state representative, her name was Melissa Hortman, and her husband Mark, he posted about that, which I think it was a terrible tragedy. And he said, this is what happens when Marxists don't get their way. Wait, I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
Right. And so he ended up having to take that tweet down. But it's, to me, this type of rhetoric, and I've seen it from comments on X, but I've also seen it sometimes even with our own texters saying, well, speech isn't violent. Well, it sure can lead to violence.
Yeah, and I don't know that that's what he had intended, but it is a little bit disappointing as a law-trained senator to take a position that is fairly inconsistent with the law in America in 2026. And it's a step backwards. I mean, we talk every year about the death penalty and should it still be on the table. Most of the other industrialized countries don't use it anymore. There are some that do and some that don't, but more advanced
Well,
countries don't.
I mean, part of it, if it's supposed to have a deterrent effect and you're 40 years down the road before it's implemented, there's a lot less of a deterrent effect. And so I'm going to say maybe he thought it would be a big deterrent, but I just cannot imagine the collective trauma of having that televised. That would it's just unbelievably frightening.
So I would say rhetoric, maybe making a point, maybe understanding that this was a horrible tragedy, but you got to give the kid his day in court. You got to give him his trial.
Yeah.
And he deserves that, and he deserves to have 12 people sit there in judgment of him and decide what the fair result is. And if it is death by execution, then we'll do it the way we have for at least a century in my experience, and that is
inside the prison,
outside the presence of the public,
right?
So
inside the prison.
Yeah, that's.
Well, what an interesting conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's shift gears a little bit, because when we come back, we're going to be joined by Lois Collins from the Deseret News and talk about some new research that may have discovered a way to lower future breast cancer risk for girls, and it has to do with how active you are. We'll learn more about that after the break.
10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour: jury selection is getting underway in Provo for a man accused of shooting at a driver during a Black Lives Matter protest. KSL News Radio's Brianna Willis reports.
Jesse Taggart is accused of shooting Ken Dudley during a protest in 2020. Taggart faces attempted aggravated murder and assault charges. Dudley says he had been trying to pass through the crowd when Taggart fired into his window, hitting his elbow. Taggart's defense says police have been acting with a bias in the investigation, spending less than 30 minutes examining the scene.
The defense had previously filed to dismiss the case, saying police had failed to collect complete evidence, but that motion was dismissed. The trial began at 8:30 this morning with jury selection. Our top national story this hour from ABC News: new research from the American Academy of Pediatrics suggests that the old 2-hour rule on children's screen time might not be working to foster healthy development.
The new recommendation is that caregivers pay closer attention to what their kids are doing online as opposed to how long. ABC News Chief Medical Correspondent Dr. Tara Narula.
If they're using it for educational reasons, if they're using age-appropriate content, you're watching with them, that's probably okay in moderation.
The study suggests that parents should nudge their children toward positive content and away from potentially addictive social media and gaming apps. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Your money at this moment: the Dow is up 214 points. That's almost 0.5% to 48,703. Coming up in our weather, we've got warm and hazy in the forecast. We'll check that next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Call 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS to reach a friendly live agent. Donation's super easy, and your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call us now, 1-877-CARS-FOR-KIDS. That's Cars with a K to donate your car today.
1877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Did you know you can donate real estate too? Go to carsforkids.org. That's carsforkids.org.
When you're making resolutions for the new year, have you ever thought of making a resolution to get a new metabolism?
So that your body is burning fat more naturally. I used to have a terrible metabolism because I didn't know what to eat or when to eat it until I did SOTA weight loss. I let go of 37 pounds, and now my metabolism works for me.
I let go of 70 pounds in 5 months, and it was so nice because once that metabolism changes, the things that affected you more regularly don't affect you anymore. And those are the things that I learned from my nutritionist as I was going along and even afterward. It's so helpful. They taught me how to be successful for life.
You can call and speak to a nutritionist at SOTA Weight Loss today at 866-800-SODA, SOTA. That's 866-800-SODA.
Or you can go to sodaweightloss.com and see the hundreds of before and after pictures. And right now is the best time to do it because if you join now, your partner joins for free, so you get 2 transformations for the price of 1.
It's 866-800-SODA.
Because soda is, say it with me, Amanda, state of the art. Traffic and weather together are brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at UCCU.com. Here's Jason Jones.
Andy, it is a really good commute that we've got going right now. We are not seeing any accidents anywhere, no delays. It's, pretty much I-15 is just going to roll smoothly all through Utah County, through Salt Lake Valley, and Weber and Davis counties at this point. Your major feeders over to I-15 also looking good. If you're headed up into the canyons, we're not seeing any problems there either. So let's see if we can keep it this way for as long as possible. Step aboard history, walk through recreations, see real artifacts, and feel the legacy of Titanic, the exhibition. Open now at the shops at Southtown and Sandy. Tickets at thetitanicexhibition.com. I'm Jason Jones in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather, we should see a high of 49 both today and tomorrow. And the haze will keep building, but a small cold front supposed to move through on Friday, which could drop temperatures a few degrees and then help clear the air for the weekend. Right now it's 36 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
So we have some good news to report from the medical front. That is that cancer, death rates from cancers in America are at their lowest rates ever. And I suppose that follows that technology and whatnot is, medical research is better than ever. But it's very good news, and we're learning some of the reasons why that some of these cancers are having better results than they have in the past.
Well, one of the things that's interesting to me, and this is what Lois Collins is here to talk to us about, is looking at younger girls and how when they become adults, there are actually some things that they can do when they're young that decreases their risk for breast cancer. Lois, thanks for joining us.
Always a pleasure.
So Lois with the Deseret News, Lois Collins with the Deseret News. Tell us about the research looking at what girls can do.
So the research, this particular study, it should be mentioned, focused primarily on girls who are either Black or Hispanic, not because they're considered different in this area than other races, but because they're underrepresented.
Mm-hmm.
So they wanted to make sure that they included them. But the Columbia University Mailman School of Public Health looked at breast cancer, starting with girls who were an average age of 16. They looked at their physical activity, and you're talking about school sports, organized sports, not organized sports, but how active they are and what kind of recreation they participate in. And then they followed up with blood tests and with scans, and they found that girls who are very active tend to have less dense breasts, Dense breasts, it's very hard to find cancer. And so, and it's also believed that dense breasts may be more prone toward having breast cancer, but they have less dense breasts because of the activity, they think. And they're careful to say that this is not causation, it's correlation, but they believe that based on the numbers, when they followed these gals long term, there was a 20% reduction in the number of people who had breast cancer based on activity levels. And so we're seeing, you talked about the good news, but there's some really bad news on the cancer front too, and that is that we're seeing cancers at younger ages than we used to.
Yeah.
Same with heart disease. We're seeing more aggressive forms in younger people, and they think that has to do with a lot of things, including inactivity. We've got sedentary lifestyles. We're eating a lot of stuff that we probably shouldn't be eating, and there's probably some environmental issues too, some pollution and that kind of thing contributing. So this study is, I think, really hopeful and interesting, because if you can't get kids to be active for other reasons, maybe you can say for your health, for your future, get out, do things, play sports, join a dance club, do something, but it's really important to do it.
Well, especially, Lois, if you can find a correlation between that. I mean, obviously, working out and staying healthy gives you a healthy lifestyle, but if it helps you with something like disease prevention, that would seem to be an incredible motivation for parents and young people to stay active and to avoid some of the problems that are afflicting the kids who are just way too dormant, just not doing anything.
Well, one of the things that makes me think of right now is we've these ongoing conversations about technology. So are the kids sitting inside looking at screens?
Well, and I'm just writing about that. I came downstairs from writing about that, the new AAP study, that the guidelines that they're putting out that say you got to do something about this because kids are sitting in front of screens, and they're sitting in school, and they're sitting in cars, and they're sitting, and that's not what you want. But the other thing, when you mentioned the adults, it's not only incentive for the kids, but it's incentive for the parents to be better role models.
I could also see
I'm
it
guilty.
being incentive for insurance companies and saying, for health insurance companies to say, give us some evidence that you're involved in activities. Give us, you know what I mean? You could maybe get reduced rates on insurance. There are other things you could gain.
We get this at work. We have the Living Healthy program through our insurance policy, and it's every 3 months you change what you're doing, but they're hoping that in that 3-month period you build good habits that will make you healthier. So, and it's things like getting enough sleep and drinking enough water, which is really underdone by people. They just don't realize how much they need. But there are all sorts of things you can do. But encouraging your kids to be active in school, to participate in school sports or have extracurricular activities, just encouraging kids to go outside and play is massively important. But for girls, this one specific reason is an added reason to do it. And that is, you don't want breast cancer when you're older, then this will help you reduce your risk.
I think for me, it would have to be a little bit parent driven because kids have such a hard time projecting into the future. They're like, well, I don't know what it's going to be like to be 45. Right. So you mentioned that they're diagnosing cancers earlier and earlier, and I don't know because this is not in your article, but isn't there a real growing concern about colon cancer in young adults, especially young adult men?
That is absolutely true, and there are more aggressive forms of breast cancer in young adult women. And they have also found much more heart disease, things that they never saw till you were in your 50s. They're now seeing in your late 20s, 30s in some people. So it's clear that something has to change.
I think one of the things that I think of when you're saying earlier cancers, Chadwick Boseman, right, the actor who died of colon cancer. He was still acting, but he was dying of colon cancer and young. Right, young. And I have a youngish, he's 26, black son who has some health issues. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope they're not super serious. And we don't know for sure yet.
No, it's really scary because they are seeing things that are, we're changing somehow.
Earlier and more aggressive.
And the environment is changing somehow. And our habits are changing. And you can tie a lot of it, I think, probably to inactivity, social media, TV, video games, things that don't make you work. If your kid really wants to play video games, you ought to get him a dance thing or something. I don't know, a Wii Fit. And say you gotta every other game has to be this, because we can't just sit around and think we'll do well.
I guess I can understand the correlation between inactivity and a greater risk of cancer or heart disease, but I don't understand, and maybe the study didn't show this, the more aggressive forms of cancer.
So the study, there have been several that showed that, but the most recent one that I saw was from Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, and they were finding, and maybe part of the reason it's more aggressive, and I'm just spitballing here, and I'm certainly not a doctor, but maybe one of the reasons it's more aggressive is that it's aggressive enough that it shows up earlier. And so I don't know. if you don't have symptoms, you don't usually look for something.
Yeah.
Right.
I have a young friend who just died of pancreatic cancer in her 30s, right? Left behind a baby and a toddler. And I'm like, oh my, like just absolutely felt like out of the blue, right? A very aggressive form of cancer. And I think she maybe lived 8 months from diagnosis to death. Not long at all.
No, that is an aggressive form of cancer. Ovarian cancer is notoriously aggressive. They're just, and they're also seeing with prostate cancer that there are forms of it. They used to say you would die with it, not of it.
Right.
And
you would die of old age.
Right.
Before
before it actually killed you. But now they're seeing more and more of the more aggressive prostate cancers that are themselves the cause of death.
I think what people should maybe think about inventing, maybe it already exists, that they have to like ride a stationary bike to power their devices. Maybe that would work, right?
They've talked about that when you can watch TV, but only if your TV is foot powered.
That's right.
Okay, I started this with there's good news, and we're
pretty bad. Yeah. Sorry about
mostly
that.
bad. There is some good. I mean, some cancer rates have gone down, though, right?
Yes, a lot of cancer has gone down, and a lot of it has to do not just some.
And I think survival
cancer,
rates too have gone up.
Right.
Yeah, our treatments are better. Our detection tends to be better. And there are actually people who are active and who are doing what they're supposed to do. You can't do a whole lot with some of your genetic risk.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of belief, too, that nothing is pure genetics. It can be genetics and environment or different triggers. So there's stuff we can do. We can do better.
All right. Thanks, Lois. That was Lois Collins with the Deseret News talking to us about cancer. Yay. So, look, the Deseret News and the Hinckley Institute of Politics polled Utah voters as we started the legislative session. The number one top issue for Utah voters, housing affordability. We're going to talk about that when we come back after the break.
If you've ever experienced running out of hot water before your shower was done or hard water spots on dishes and fixtures, I've got a deal you might be interested in. What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and you probably already know that a tankless water heater and a water softener solve both issues. If you've ever thought about looking into getting a tankless water heater, here's the deal I was talking about. Through the end of February, we're including a free water softener with every new tankless water heater we install. The best part of this deal might be that you never have to worry about being the last one to the shower again, or that you don't have to waste the money keeping 40 to 50 gallons of water hot 24/7. To take advantage of this deal, call Any Hour Services before the end of February. The visit's free and there's no obligation to buy. If you decide to have us install a new tankless water heater, we'll throw in the water softener for free. That's right, a free water softener when you purchase a tankless water heater. Pick up the phone and call Any Hour Services right now for all the details. 801-443-7400. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
Nathan has taught me to embrace the moment. Age-wise, I'm in my late 60s. I'm old enough to be his grandfather. Will he be embarrassed to acknowledge me as his dad? I think the most important thing we can do is let them know that they're safe, that they're valued and cared for and loved, and that they're important.
I knew I wanted to be adopted by him because of how he taught me to be the person who I am today. And it's coming from a dad that didn't expect to become a dad, and I feel very proud to be his son.
I was what he needed, and he was what I needed. Every day is full of new opportunities. That's what it's been about, realizing the simple things that it takes to make such a huge difference in these kids' lives.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care at adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com or text the word inbox to 57500. That's inbox to 57500.
Join KSL and the movie show Friday from 10 to 1 at My Hearing Centers, 8941 South, 700 East, Suite 203 in Sandy.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
There are many times I thought, I can't do this. I mean, what parent isn't worried about, what am I not doing right? What am I not doing enough? And then I realized, wait, that's being a parent.
Don't worry about being perfect. I've had around 3 other mother figures in my life, but only one of them has taught me how a mother loves.
The greatest reward for me is he makes me better every day.
I would tell a family considering adopting a teenager that teenager, whoever it is, needs you, and they need what you have to offer.
Taylor's given me hope. He's our son, and that is what he will always be.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
The Management Minute is a service of the MBA program and the Shingo Institute at Utah State University. I'm Professor Scott Hammond. When the critical mass of an organization is about defending the status quo, doing things the way they've always been done, then you see a certain pattern. I've seen this pattern at universities, government agencies, and businesses. First, the stories people tell about their work justify stagnation. Second, they punish and attack individuals who want to change. Often the top 10% of performers are treated like the bottom 10%. They're criticized and isolated by the protective culture so that they are asked or forced to leave. What is left is the middle, the average, the unchanged. What is left is mediocrity. Learn how to change a culture of mediocrity with an MBA from Utah State or a certificate from the Shingo Institute. Go to utahstatemba.com. That's utahstatemba.com. I'm Scott Hammond. Hope to see you in one of our classes.
My name is Tom.
My name is Cindy.
We give to and volunteer with United Way at our community free health clinic.
We know our time and money are going to the right places.
We don't just wear the shirt.
We live it.
Give, advocate, volunteer, Live United. Go to liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
An expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
So it seems in Utah that home buyers have been battling for homes, but now it looks like buyers might be the ones with the upper hand. We'd like to thank the Stern team of Amada Real Estate for their help with navigating Utah's housing market. And I want to say, I'm looking at a poll, and you mentioned it at the outset. As our legislature is about to start session, a Hinckley Institute Deseret News poll polled about 800 Utahns about their top priorities, and it wasn't even close.
It was not even close, and that's one of the things that I thought was really interesting when I saw this. One of the things you have to know is that they could only choose one option for their most important issue going into the session, but far and away it was affordable housing.
Yeah, and there were it looks like about 10 or 12 options. Affordable housing took almost a third of all Utah voters. The next closest one was healthcare at 13%.
I know, really a big change. And one of the things that was interesting about this poll too is that 0% said that their top priority was public employee unions and collective bargainings, and only 2% said redistricting was.
Yeah, well, legislature, pay attention.
So I think we have
are.
Brigham Tomko on the line with us. Maybe not. Okay, we don't have him yet. So we're gonna talk with the author of the study. I mean, at least of the article. But I also wanted to mention that I saw this in Redfin this morning. And so Redfin has to do a lot with the real estate market. This is more nationally, but there are a lot more homes for sale across the nation than there are buyers, turning it into a buyer's market. In fact, what they're saying is they saw 47% more home sellers than buyers in December. There's like a surplus of 630,000 homes on the market that people are not going out and buying.
And it ebbs and flows because a year ago you would have said the opposite, and maybe 2 years ago you would have said the same thing. I mean, it goes back and forth, but it's probably not the best time to sell a house, but it's a really good time to buy.
Yeah. So if you remember the pandemic, there was not a lot of movement at all, right, when everybody was staying home. But then in 2021, when people were coming out, a little bit out of the pandemic, but remote work was still a thing. Then bidding wars. Remember, people would put their house on the market, and then it would just go higher and higher.
Right.
So we know that in Utah, housing affordability has been a priority for our governor. We know that a lot of legislators have talked about it, but now there's a lot of voters saying this is my top issue.
Right, and we know that Brigham Tomko from the Deseret News is on the line to help us break this down. Brigham, thanks for joining us this morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me. These poll results I thought were pretty incredible, showing that this is by far the top issue for Utah voters this legislative session.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. I mean, and tell us about the poll, what you know about it, Brigham.
We surveyed 800 Utahns a week and a half ago, and they were asked out of a dozen legislative topics to pick what they thought should be the top priority for lawmakers this session. And more than 3 in 10 Utahns picked housing affordability. And this was the same result across partisan affiliations, Republican, Democrat, Independent, and across age demographics, which was split up in about 15-year increments from 18 all the way up to 65 plus. And among each of those groups, over 3 in 10 said that housing was their top issue. And then that was followed by healthcare, the Great Salt Lake, and tax cuts, which each saw between like 10 and 14% of people saying it was their top issue. So it dwarfed all other issues across, kind of every demographic here in the state.
I think that's super interesting. And Brigham, you're probably on the Hill today. But what are you hearing from legislators? I know they talk about we want to make affordable housing more available. What are they actually doing? What can they do?
So I think that this poll reaffirms a sense of urgency that Governor Cox has tried to communicate over the past several years. I think that the priority is definitely shared by the Senate and House, who keep throwing out that word affordability, but it's hard to define or nail down what they mean by that. What we're seeing in the House are proposals to shift the burden of property taxes away from primary residential homeowners in the state to secondary homeowners and commercial buildings. So that's one way that could bring down costs associated with home ownership. But then also the issue that's kind of being thrown out there as the big push this session on housing affordability would be to open up city savings, the money that they allow the state treasurer to invest just as savings for the municipalities, and to open up that money to be used as a revolving loan so that these cities can invest in infrastructure to unlock lots of these lots for homes that have been approved already but are just sitting there vacant.
Can I ask a follow-up question on that? Do you have any idea what the city's response is to that? Do they like that or do they not like that?
So the text of the bill hasn't been published yet, and I haven't had a chance to talk about the specifics with city leadership yet. But from my conversations with them in the past, I think this is exactly what they're looking for. Every time they hear about the legislature trying to mandate cities to zone for a certain lot size or to allow a certain kind of density, you hear lots of pushback from cities and counties. The issue that they always bring up is infrastructure. We don't have the money or the resources to invest in the sewer lines, the roads, to open up all of these approved neighborhoods for development. And so across the state, there are over 100,000, I believe, lots that have been approved by municipalities, but where nothing has begun construction because of those infrastructure concerns.
If in fact, Brigham, it's a buyer's market right now, and there are more homes on the market than there are buyers, it would seem that the remedy for that would be to lower the home prices. Is there any notion that might occur and might make some houses more affordable, and just because there are too many that are for sale right now?
Yeah, and so the most common line you hear on the Hill is, this is economics 101. We need increased supply, and that will bring down housing costs. And, the market, there may be a little bit of a bubble, and we're waiting for that to catch up, and housing prices will begin to fall. But it seems like for the moment, we do need more options for homeowners so that there can be more competition in that housing market.
Thank you so much. That was Brigham Tomko with the Deseret News. And, again, the Storm Team of Omada Real Estate can help you with any of your housing needs. Yesterday, when we were on the Hill, Representative Cal Roberts joined Jeff Kaplan's Afternoon News to talk about this issue.
Here's what I believe. If you're a kid raised in Utah, born in Utah, you should have the opportunity, if you do everything right, if you work hard, you should have the opportunity to own a starter home and to build a career and build a family. The problem right now with housing in the state of Utah is that it has grown at 5.5% year over year for 40 years. Wages, only 3%. So the issue is that housing prices are totally outstripping wages.
That was Representative Cal Roberts, who is working on it this very session. And he explained that the issue is on the supply side and primarily what he calls infrastructure.
Well, the key, if you look at the way prices work, it's a supply and demand. Now, the secret is out about Utah. People want to be here. We've got big families. People move in. The issue is on the supply side. The traditional fight in housing has always been, should the state preempt local government? Should the state government tell cities what to do about land use? That's always been the fight. What we're trying to do is look at this problem differently. One of the issues is we have 190,000 entitled units throughout the state, or planned units.
What does that mean, entitled units?
That means that they're units that cities have planned to be built, but they've not yet been built. Okay. So the question you got to ask is, why has it not been built yet? And it's because of infrastructure and the infrastructure gap. And so what we are focused on doing this session is making strategic investments in infrastructure to get ahead of growth, but to unlock all of that planned housing so that we can provide more starter homes for kids here in Utah. And
you know, this is a problem that's just recurring. And by the way, you can learn your home's true value in 30 seconds. If you visit sternteam.com, you can find out more. When we come back, we're going to talk about something, I guess, tangentially related, because we've been watching this morning arguments at the Supreme Court involving a Federal Reserve Board member who President Trump has tried to fire, and that whether or not and to what extent he can do that in as much as it's arguably an independent board is being argued at the Supreme Court right now. And the various justices we've been hearing and watching weigh in on it are maybe giving us a little bit of an idea where it's going to go. We'll talk about that and other cases at the Supreme Court when we come back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. The Ogden City Police Department are investigating after a man was hit by a train this morning. He was pronounced dead at the scene early this morning. Police are not sure if it was an accident or intentional. Officers are asking anyone with additional information to contact the department. A man was arrested in Salt Lake City at a Salt Lake City Maverick after police say he pulled a knife on an employee. KSL News Radio's McKenna Rodriguez reports.
Charging documents say William B. Brown walked to the register carrying 3 Slim Jims and a lighter, grabbed them, and walked away without paying. Video surveillance shows Brown returning to the register holding a 2-inch knife. Police say their search warrant of Brown revealed his possession of box cutter blades, a lighter, burnt straws, and a used syringe. He was booked into jail for aggravated robbery and drug possession.
Police are requesting that he be held without bail. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Federal agents opened fire in the Compton area of LA this morning.
Border Patrol agents were conducting an operation in the Compton area after 7 a.m. this morning when the LA County Sheriff's Department says a federal agent shooting occurred. Shots were fired by a federal agent at suspects, and there may have been a car chase, but nobody was hit by the gunfire, and the person or people they were after were taken into custody. Nobody was injured. There is a crashed car at the scene, and heavily armed federal agents protecting the area as onlookers stand at crime scene tape taking videos. Alex Stone, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Your money at this moment. The Dow is up 215 points. The S&P is up 25 points. And coming up, a break in the inversion. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 11:01.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. You know, the big wireless companies say they have discounts for people over 55. But unless you're willing to sit on hold and ask, you're probably paying more than you should. At Consumer Cellular, there's nothing to hunt down. We're built for people 50 plus with plans starting at just $20. And our 100% US-based customer service actually answers the phone. Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com today and get your second month free for a limited time.
Taxes, fees, and other third-party charges will apply. See website for additional details.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-897-4400. That's 800-897-4400.
Trying to make sense of the markets? Looking to diversify out of all the craziness? Thinking about tangible assets like precious metals? Listen to The Gold Show with Kenny Michaels right here on KSL at 3 p.m. Sunday afternoons. Stay up to date on retirement trends, how the IRA rollover process works, and why investors are turning to physical gold. Kenny is a national talk show host with decades of experience in the markets. Tune in for Kenny's Insights and The Gold Show this Sunday afternoon at 3.
Amanda, I took my daughter with me to see Frozen at Hale Center Theater, and it was a magical experience. And I say that somewhat jokingly, but it was magical. I watched a woman transform a dress in a second right in front of my own eyes. I got snowed on indoors. Plus, there was all the songs that we both loved.
Yeah, when that ice castle comes out of the floor, I have goosebumps now just thinking about that moment. And the performers, the young girls who sing Elsa and Anna when they're little. I mean, the grown-up ones too, but all of them were just extraordinary.
The Anna that I saw just had this magical pixie-like charm that was so fun to watch. That just everything she said made me laugh.
Have you seen Frozen yet at Hale Center Theater? It runs till when, Andy?
It goes till Valentine's Day.
So you have time.
Yeah, if you didn't catch it during the holiday season, that's okay. It's an extended run. You have a chance to go now.
And if you went before, maybe you want to take your girlfriend or your nieces. Go back and have this magical experience of Frozen.
You can get tickets online, find out which day works best for you at hct.org.
Women go through many changes in their lives. And we believe each milestone matters. That every new candle represents another step in your story. Our healthcare experts support women at every stage of life. Because each chapter deserves to be celebrated. Women's health. Nurture what's next. Find care near you at mountain.commonspirit.org. Common Spirit Health. Human kindness lives here.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Transfer savings. Earn more. UCCU. Love where you bank. Here's Tito Nani.
A smooth drive with no trouble spots as you make your commute on I-15 going both directions across the valley. And the same can be said elsewhere as I-80, I-215, and the 21st South Freeway all appear to be in good shape at this hour. Whipple Service Champions is Utah's most trusted name for heating, cooling, plumbing, and electrical services. Call 385-273-7167 for your free estimate today. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 46 today with some haze. We'll see the inversion clear out a bit closer to the weekend as temperatures fall to the upper 30s. Right now it is 36 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com, or Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Lisa Cook, a member of the Federal Reserve Board who President Trump has tried to fire, had her day in the Supreme Court today. We've been hearing oral arguments, or they've been hearing oral arguments as this show has been going on. ABC News national correspondent Stephen Portnoy reports from Washington.
Lisa Cook was appointed to a 14-year term on the Fed board in 2023, but President Trump moved to fire her last year, pointing to allegations, never tested in court, that before she joined the Fed, she claimed on mortgage applications that 2 different homes were her primary residence. The administration argues that meets the law's standard for a for-cause firing. Cook is taking her argument against that to the nation's highest court.
So we are lucky to have the expert on the Supreme Court with us. That's Kelsey Dallas. She's the managing editor of SCOTUS blog. Hi, thanks for joining us again, Kelsey.
Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us what happened today in this case?
Yes, the court heard about 2 hours of argument on the Trump administration's effort to remove Lisa Cook. This case is coming to the court in what we call an interim posture, meaning that the question in front of the court is actually just whether Cook can be removed from the Fed board while the dispute over her removal plays out. So it would be a significant decision for the court to say, yes, take her off for now, but it would not be the final word on the larger questions here, like what authority the president has in general to remove Fed governors. So it made for a strange argument because several of the justices appeared frustrated that they were having to dig into this case at this preliminary stage and sort of wrestling with whether the decision that they release will be very preliminary and just say she stays or she goes for now, or try to get into something more meaty.
What can you tell us about that level of frustration? What were you hearing from the justices that gave you that impression, Kelsey?
Well, it started during U.S. Solicitor General D. John Sauer's time at the mic, as I say, where part of the argument he was making on behalf of the Trump administration is that President Trump's decision to remove someone should not be reviewable by the court, and yet at the same time is making arguments about how this concern about mortgage fraud justifies a for-cause removal. And so several justices were saying, wait, why are you trying to argue those two things simultaneously? Because if your baseline point is that courts can't review this decision, then why even bother claiming that the decision is justified? That does happen from time to time, the court sort of taking issue with the different arguments an advocate is trying to offer simultaneously and saying you can't have it both ways. You can't try to win in two different ways at once. But it just felt like there was more intense pushback than normal from a wide variety of justices, so including several of the 6 more conservative justices.
So by pushback, Kelsey, does that then lead you to believe that maybe she'll be able to stay on her seat or stay in her seat for now?
Right. The word of the day, I would say, is skeptical, because as part of my work at SOTUS Blog, I look at the media landscape and say, okay, how have various reporters characterized those arguments? And almost all of the headlines so far have said justices appear skeptical of Trump administration's effort to remove Cook. Court appears likely to allow Cook to continue serving. So it felt like for reporters listening closely to the argument that the Trump administration would lose in some way at this stage in the case.
And we saw, Kelsey, that one of the conservative justices, Alito, actually made clear his frustration over this, which was a little bit surprising.
Right. And part of Alito's frustration wasn't so much with the Trump administration's position. It was with what the sort of the state of the case today, which is that these lower courts who have already considered it had to act very quickly to make a decision about whether Cook should be removed for now. And in doing so, they were resting on some legal arguments that not all legal scholars agreed with, basically saying that Cook had a right to some sort of trial over the allegations, and the Supreme Court now has to kind of be mindful of what those lower courts actually said. They can't start from scratch in their own ruling. And I think Alito was like, this seems crazy that we're hearing argument that are kind of separate from those lower court rulings, and we don't know what to do with this conflicting information.
Interesting. What's the process from here now that it just seems to me like it seems unusual, and I don't follow the Supreme Court like you do, of course, but it seems unusual that there's an ongoing case and they're being asked to make a ruling in the middle of another case.
It is increasingly common for them to have to jump into a very live dispute and sort of weigh it in this interim or temporary posture. What's unusual is for the court to decide they're going to hear arguments at this stage. And so that raises the question of whether the arguments are going to allow the Supreme Court to do a pretty big definitive decision and sort of clear up several stages down the road what should happen in this case. But it remains an option that the court settles this in a way that it settles these interim requests, which is just a very basic short opinion, like either Cook she leave office right now or Cook can stay in office right now. And so what's interesting is that even though they've now devoted 2 hours of argument to this case, we could end up getting the kind of short, unsigned opinion that we see in cases where the court has basically spent no time digging into the arguments in a substantial way.
And just say, hey, leave her on and go argue your case and let us know in a year.
Let's have the lower court look at this more closely, dig into the mortgage fraud allegation more deeply. And I know we often talk on this program about what we can expect from a timing perspective. As always, the decision is not really guaranteed by any time, but traditionally the court deals with its current cases by the end of June or very early in July. If the court decides to do something pretty short and succinct and just say we're going to keep Cook in office, that could come pretty quickly in a month or two.
Speaking of opinions, Kelsey, on a somewhat related note, are you expecting anything in particular this week from the Supreme Court?
That's a tricky question. They had an opinion day yesterday and released 3 different decisions, but it wasn't the one that many folks are waiting for, the tariffs case. It was instead 3 of the lower profile disputes, and they were unanimous decisions. And that's what we often expect early in the term, is that the court has moved very quickly on these unanimous cases. What's tricky is that we don't know yet when the next opinion day will be, and if the court follows its typical pattern, there's not really an eligible day for opinions until Friday, February 20th, which is basically a month from now, because the court takes a pretty substantial winter recess. Now, the court can do basically whatever it wants. It can come back into session in early February next week and say, hey, we're going to release opinions. It might release opinions without the justices taking the bench. But if it follows its typical pattern, there's not sort of an eligible day for opinions until February 20th.
All right. Thanks so much for that. That was Kelsey Dallas, the managing editor with SCOTUS Blog, to help us break down some of the cases. Look, we talked before about the church attack in Grand Blanc, Michigan. Police are now saying that the man who attacked the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints there, the meeting house there, phoned in threats to other churches before that attack. We're going to have more after the break.
Hi, I'm Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. When the IRS invades your life, it's never good news. Keep in mind, it's not just you.
I owed roughly $34,000.
$61,000. When the IRS first contacted me, I was horrified.
When they start hounding you and harassing you and assaulting you.
Don't face the IRS alone. With everything in your life at stake, don't trust just anyone.
From what I got told was being done in a matter of 2 years, he had done in a matter of 48 hours.
It's a great thing to have the IRS off your back.
We have reduced our tax liability by over $42,000.
Once I signed on with Jordan, I never talked to the IRS again.
It changed our lives.
You need someone to fight for you. Visit endtaxworry.com and get relief today. Let's solve your tax problems now. Visit endtaxworry.com. That's endtaxworry.com.
Mom and Dad used to argue about everything, especially about Dad's drinking. It drove me crazy. It got so bad, I couldn't do my homework. I couldn't concentrate. I absolutely refused to let any of my friends come to our house for any reason. I would have been humiliated if anyone found out how much my dad drank and how loud my mom screamed at him. My family went from totally crazy to quiet, calm, and even peaceful. The only thing that happened is my mom started going to Al-Anon family groups. Her relationship with my dad really changed. I asked Mom if she would take me to her Al-Anon meetings or to Alateen. I wanted to see if I could have a better relationship with my dad. I'm sure glad I did. If someone's drinking troubling you, you might be surprised at what you can learn in an Al-Anon or Alateen family group from people just like you. Call 1-888-4-ALANON or go to alanon.org.
Progressive knows there are some surprisingly expensive things in life, like rugs. People say a rug would really bring the room together. And sure, you don't know what that means, but it sounds important. Suddenly you're using words like jute and sisal. Then you see the price and lose it, because how can the thing you walk and spill on cost so much? So you devote your life to taking down Big Rug. But then you remember that switching your home and auto to Progressive could save you hundreds. So, looks like Big Rug is safe. For now. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment? That's a lie. Most timeshares can be bought online for $1. To find out what your timeshare is worth and to cancel it, call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit kit free with all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley for your free exit info guide. 800-897-4400. That's 800-897-4400.
We asked parents who adopted teens to share their journey.
I think my biggest challenge was getting through to him to understand that love is real and you have goals in mind, you have things that want to happen, and I want to help you get there.
Sometimes people tend to shy away from wanting to adopt teenagers because they feel like they've lost so much, but there's still so much to gain.
Just knowing that there's just that other person that cares and loves me out there, it feels great. And they've done so much for me, and I can only be appreciative every single day for just having them in my life.
I think it's been the best decision because I gained a son, and he's the best son ever. If I was down and out, he'd be there.
Learn about adopting a teen from foster care. You can't imagine the reward. Visit adoptuskids.org to learn more. A message brought to you by Adopt US Kids, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, and the Ad Council.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Email from school about the incident today.
Scary.
You know, teachers like me, parents, we don't always know as much as you guys do about what's going on with other kids.
Half the time, it's rumors.
Yeah, but if you're ever concerned about a friend who's having trouble with alcohol, prescription drugs, anything, you need to tell an adult, someone you know and trust. That can be hard, but speaking up about a problem is what helping a friend is all about.
For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
This message is for Karina, our mom who finished her high school diploma at age 28. Hi, Mom. It's Emmettith and Nicholas. Congratulations on getting your diploma. You worked so hard and have taught us so much. We love you.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Inside Sources.
Last September 30th at about 10:25 a.m. on a Sunday morning, a man entered a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints meeting house and rammed his truck into the house. At least 4 of the churchgoers were killed, 8 others were injured, and he was killed by law enforcement officers during the attack. And we're now learning that there were some other calls made at or during that time involving other churches, maybe even by the same man.
Well, the police are saying now that it was the same man, that he was calling them to talk about bomb threats in churches that were nearby but were not the actual target. And they said, according to an NBC News article that I'm looking at, the police there said it was an effort to distract police and divert police resources so that he could carry out his attack on the LDS church.
Right, and that's what the Michigan State Police said, that immediately after the shooting, they were responding to bomb threats for other churches in the area.
Yeah.
So he had made numerous threats and attacked one specific church. Of course, it was a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints meeting house, but the other churches weren't necessarily related.
Which is not related, but what's interesting to me is he picked churches that were close by, so police were already on their way. The bomb threat call, at least the bomb threat calls, came in about 4 minutes before victims in the church shooting actually started calling, right? So he was on his way to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, where he did ram his truck into the outside of it and then started shooting. It's just that's an interesting twist to the story, right? Is he thought he would distract the police by calling them to churches close by.
He makes his own emergency 911 call to let people know that there's going to be a shooting at a church or something going on,
or there's a bomb,
police or a bomb threat, and people are responding. Meanwhile, he's driving his truck through the front door of a church and killing people. I mean, talk about just bizarre thought. I mean,
Yeah.
and he's killed, so we don't understand his logic. Not that there really was an understandable logic, but
if I remember at the time, one of the things that at least was released at the time was that he had some pretty strong anti-LDS sentiment, and he had expressed that members of the church were the problem, whatever the problem was in his life, that he had used to date a member of the church.
Oh, that's right.
But he was married and had a kid, right? But in any case, it did seem to be something very targeted at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. But now we know he was also apparently making bomb threats.
Yeah, less than 4 minutes before he hit the church, he made 911 calls. This is in the Grand Blanc, Michigan area, phoned in bomb threats about area churches, and had police responding all over the place.
Yeah.
The 911 call first one came at 10:21. He struck the Latter-day Saint Church, I think at like 10:30ish.
25, I
Yeah,
think, or
like
something like
just
that.
minutes
Yeah.
later.
Yeah. So, police chief for the Grand Blanc Township said yesterday, he told NBC News, just yesterday. It's been a long week already. We do not believe he had the intent to carry out an attack here, and it was a ploy to divert law enforcement resources. And then he said that he specifically mentioned, quote, I'm saying this is the quote, Mormon churches as being important. And then they said in the background audio of the 911 call about a bomb threat, the possible sound of exhaust of a vehicle can be heard as if the male was traveling in a vehicle while making the 911 bomb threat call.
Yeah, and I remember at the time, Holly, because there were so many things going on, there had been a Jewish synagogue that had been hit not long prior to that.
Oh.
There were other religious attacks.
And also President Nelson had just passed away.
That's right.
And
that's
Charlie
right.
Kirk earlier in the month.
Right.
So September was a little rough.
Yeah, it was a rough month for us on this show. But thinking, why would a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints facility in Grand Blanc, Michigan be hit? I mean, what's the anger there? And then when we heard he broke up with the woman who happened to be a member, like that sounds like, now looking back, he just didn't have his head together.
And he was a Marine veteran. And again, because he died after or during the attack, there's no way to know for sure. But because he was a Marine veteran, he was actually fairly skilled. He had access to weapons that he did use. Responding officers fired 7 rounds, and they had to do a use of force report. So they've had all of that, right, I guess, in Michigan. But they had a press conference yesterday to talk about, hey, this guy also called in bomb threats.
So it naturally happens after an event like this. Law enforcement and community members will sit down, try to recreate what happened, try to figure out why, and try to come up with some lessons that we can all learn as a result of that. I don't know that we can learn anything from this, because this is so unusual. I mean, that he would do such a thing. It almost seems like it wasn't targeted to the Latter-day Saint community as much as just a church. And
I think it was, though. I mean, I think it was specifically targeted to a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I mean, I think if I remember the story, the person he was dating lived in Utah. He didn't drive to Utah. It's because where he was living, and I guess that was the congregation that he chose to go after. But
I guess my point was the other churches that he was having officers responded to were different congregations.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. So again, interesting. I didn't know that there was going to be an ongoing, I guess, press conference. The FBI at the time, if you remember, said the shooter was motivated by hatred towards the LDS religion. Friends close to the gunman back in the fall had said he long harbored hatred against the church, and that it was a specifically targeted act of violence.
Yeah, and it was horrible. I mean, he drove his truck right into the church.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, I think there was a fire that was caused by that. He killed several people, hurt others, and then when police arrived, he must have gotten in some sort of gunfight with them because police killed him at the scene.
Yeah.
And he'd been making bomb threats toward other churches.
Yeah, he killed 2 people with a gun, and 2 people died in the fire. And then there were 8 other people who were injured, including I think one of the victims was a child. if I remember correctly.
Yeah, just a sad situation that occurred just last September, not long ago, in connection, like you said, with that was a bad month. I mean,
it was rough.
Charlie Kirk was shot here in Orem, Utah. Anyway, it's interesting to follow up with these because you learn so much, and I hadn't even thought about that particular event because it happened 4 months ago. You don't there, and so much has occurred since.
Yeah.
But the follow up is really interesting when they go back and recreate what was happening during that half an hour. Calls being made, bomb threats being made. He's driving through the front of a church and it's on fire. I mean, the local officials there must have just been scrambling everywhere during that period of time.
Yeah, and we've had additional instances of religious targeting, including I think with some of our friends in the Jewish community for sure. And when we just had the shooting in Salt Lake in the church parking lot, my first thought was this is targeted against the specific religion, and it didn't turn out to be that, but there has been an escalation in specifically targeted attacks against religious communities.
Right, and even that particular case, there's been updates, and police are continuing to investigate. It was you recall, it was a funeral service that was being held at a Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints meeting house. As people were leaving that, there was gunfire and some fights that broke out among some of the people. It wasn't necessarily related to the church membership, but it was related to maybe some of the people that were attending the funeral. And police had expressed some tremendous frustration. And speaking about investigations and what we're learning, just the frustration that they felt just trying to solve that case. And we're learning more and more about that.
Well, it's still ongoing. And I think we talked on this show last week is there was an arrest, but not for the killings, but for obstructing justice. And their charging documents have now been issued. And that was a whole conversation in and of itself. They don't have the shooter yet, at least as far as we know.
It's kind of a getaway driver who obstructed and participated and has now been charged. Hopefully that police will get some information as that one goes on.
Yeah, it's we're reminded with that fire in Michigan. He used gasoline to make it go hotter and faster too. So anyway, more updates on that. So look, last week we learned that the president of UVU, Astrid Tuminez, was stepping down at the end of the semester.
I want to announce today that I am leaving UVU. So, I cried a lot last night, so I'm not crying today.
I had the opportunity to talk with her about her time and accomplishments at UVU as she gets ready for her next adventure. And we're going to share that conversation when we come back after this break.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. A Payson couple is facing multiple felony charges after being accused of stealing their grandmother's rent money to gamble, buy vapes, and more. KSL News Radio's Randall Jepson has the details.
Gunlock Falls only makes an appearance 3 out of 7 years, Washington County officials estimate. But when
Sorry about that. Police say while Diane O'Bannon was her grandmother's primary caregiver, she failed to pay rent, utilities, and property taxes for her grandmother's home. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump says the U.S. will not force to take Greenland, but he's still confident the U.S. needs the territory.
We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now.
Trump is at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. We will continue to follow this story throughout the day. Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 305 points, the S&P is up 31 points. And coming up, temperatures are falling this weekend. KSL weather is next. KSL News time 11:32.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Ben Care was born with Crouzon syndrome, told he'd face a life of limits.
People do a lot for someone to notice them, just trying to get someone to pay attention to them. That's not your deal.
Impossible adversity didn't break him.
You will never live an ordinary life.
It fueled him.
So make it extraordinary.
Wrestling defined him. Courage shaped him. And refusing to be normal became his superpower.
We could make excuses, or we can just chew the excuses up and swallow them. And then you end up like Ben.
This is the true story of a young man who didn't just rise above the odds, he crushed them.
A local wrestler could have used his physical limitations to quit sports. Instead, he used it in his advantage.
Stand Out, the Ben Care story. In theaters now, 100% on Rotten Tomatoes. Get tickets at standoutfilm.com. When life says you can't, Ben Care proves you can. Standoutfilm.com.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
Traffic and weather together every 10 minutes on the 9s, brought to you by UCCU. Supercharge your savings at uccu.com. Here's Tito Nani.
Traffic continues to roll right along on I-15 as you travel both north and south between Ogden and Provo. And elsewhere throughout the valley, no trouble spots as you make your commute on I-80, I-215, and the 21st South Freeway. Don't miss the Rocky Mountain Gun Show, January 24th and 25th at Mountain America Expo Center in Sandy. Get 500 rounds of 9mm ammo for just $85. Tito Nani in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 46 with haze today and tomorrow. The air quality right now is not too bad. Mostly moderate levels across the Wasatch Front. We'll see temperatures fall this weekend, which could push out the inversion for a bit. Right now it is 39 and mostly cloudy. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com for Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Well, we learned last week that the president of Utah Valley University is stepping down at the end of the semester. We know that President Astrid Tumenez had a challenging past year with the passing of her husband and challenges on campus, of course, amid the killing of Charlie Kirk.
And following her announcement to step down, I had the opportunity to talk with her. I wanted to really focus on what she's brought. So she's been at UVU for 7.5 years. It'll be just shy of 8 when she steps down on the 1st of May. I wanted to really talk to her about the impact that she's had and the growth and positivity she brought to campus. Here's my conversation with UVU President Astrid Tumenez.
The story of UVU is quite remarkable because I think it bucks the trend across the country. So in the 7.5 years that I've been here, our enrollment has grown 20%. Our completion rate has grown from 37% to 46%. Our graduating class has more than doubled from fewer than 6,000 when I arrived to about 12,800 in April 2025. We have built or repurposed at least 10 different structures, at least 7 new structures, buildings. So the facilities have improved massively. And we also launched the first ever comprehensive campaign for UVU called Evergreen, and we've raised over $250,000. So these stories are remarkable because we are living at a time when there are so many attacks and criticism on higher education. But I think Utah as a whole has done well, and Utah Valley University in particular has done very well.
Is this now the largest university in Utah?
Yes, by enrollment, we are the largest university with just over 48,000 students. You know, the wonderful things that the delivery of education today, some of it's online, many people are part-time, some are full-time. So it allows it all to happen in a way that fits the lives of people who want to get an education and who want to improve their lives.
Yeah. I wonder if you could tell us about pom-poms, green hair, and school spirit.
Yes, delighted to talk about that. So when I first arrived, I learned that that students were not very proud, to be here at UVU, and that's understandable. They compare themselves with BYU or the University of Utah, and I thought, that's not the right way to think about life. The right way to think about life is think of where you are and who you are and what makes this place special. And so in December of 2018, in my first semester, I put green streaks in my hair, and I thought I was just going to do it for Christmas, but it became a permanent thing. And then the pom-poms, I started going to games. At first, there was just this little pom-poms, and then the cheerleading team that came to my house and said, "President, those are not very respectable pom-poms. Let us give you fat ones." And I started taking them to everything. And it really was just a way for me to express myself, but also the students loved it. And I wear green all the time. I only had one green dress when I took the job. Now everything I wear is pretty much green. And it's sort of the being proud. I feel that if you're proud of where you go, as a student, you'll do the hard work required to pass your classes, to get your degree. And I think across campus, Wolverine Pride, that is something that more people feel today than they did 7.5 years ago. So I joke about, how my wardrobe is now entirely green, but the spirit of it is important, and part of it is also having fun.
It's really amazing. And look, I know you dance, and I saw you as you were giving your address, just up on stage, just dancing away.
Well, because partly the technology failed. The two big monitors with my PowerPoint burnt out. So I had to entertain, and I was telling everybody, well, half the job of a university president is sort of, stand-up comedy. But I just like to dance anyway, and they call me the dancing queen.
That's awesome. What are some of your favorite memories of your time at UVU?
Favorite memories here, well, beating BYU 2 times in basketball. That's definitely like way up there. And then every freshman convocation, because we welcome 5,000 to 6,000, freshmen and their family members. Every single freshman convocation is a highlight. Every commencement, having speakers here like Brandon Sanderson, the
author.
fantasy novelist, the author. Those are some of my favorite moments. When my own daughter graduated from UVU after dropping out of Columbia University, it was one of the best days, and I'm so proud of that. There are so many moments, and I go to student dances. We have a lot of fun. I just have so many beautiful memories and a lot of sweet notes, letters from students that I will treasure forever.
Can I ask you a little bit more about freshman convocation? Because I'm not really familiar with that concept.
Yes, so before the beginning of the school year in the fall, we welcome freshmen, and they're making that transition from high school to college, and it's a very different context for doing your studies. And so we give them several days of orientation alongside their parents, and then it ends with a massive event at the UCCU Center, where in the first year, we didn't do this, but starting my second year, we do balloons, and we do contests, and we have dancers, and one year we had somebody shoot from half court, and they made it. They shot the basket, and they won $5,000. We just try to make it so much fun, and then we do a barbecue in a white tent outside, and you have thousands of people, and it just makes such a happy, energizing day to think of yourself as a Wolverine, as a UVU student. And we love that. It's such a great way to start the academic year.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to get school spirit from the very beginning, right?
Yes, yes.
Is there a particular program that is new or improved that stands out to you from UVU?
Well, we started most of our engineering degrees here were started, I think, just a year or two before I arrived. And today, the Smith College of Engineering and Technology is our largest college in terms of majors enrolled at 6,558 students. And on January 22, we will cut the ribbon on our newest building, which is the Smith Engineering Building. And if anyone tours that building with all of its state-of-the-art laboratories, for computer science, mechanical, electrical engineering, and so on, they will be blown away. And it sits on this hill with a 360-degree view of the lake, of Utah Lake, and all of the peaks from Timpanogos to Cascades and Nebo. So I'm very excited about engineering and technology because I think that has a way to go, in the economy here in Utah needs as many engineers and technicians as we can produce. And then the other area that I think is really exciting is the Health and Public Service College, because, with AI, healthcare is changing, and these programs are growing incredibly: nursing, respiratory assistant, physician assistant. So I think the relevance of UVU will be here for years and years to come. What the economy needs, what the community needs, these are the people we are producing. And 74% of our alumni are still here 10 years after graduation. So they really are the citizens that form the bulk of the Utah workforce, the voters, the families, and so on.
Yeah, thank you. That's amazing. Do you have any final thoughts you'd like to share?
I think that higher education is still such a beautiful, powerful, miraculous tool for the American dream. And I hope that isn't forgotten. Because even as we say, there's a lot of knowledge on the internet, or AI will replace all of us, I still think at the end of the day, coming to a university, getting a degree, whether that's a certificate or an associate, bachelor's, master's, PhD, and then becoming more fully human. You get socialized in a university. You get to change your mind. You get to talk to people who think differently. You get to read. You do some deep reading, deep thinking, critical thinking. And so I hope that as a whole, not only in Utah, but in America, that we continue to support our universities, because I still believe they are such a powerful tool for helping the American dream become real.
That was my interview with UVU President Astrid Jimenez. She was really delightful. And next, we have a really fun story. A TikToker shared her quick idea for a Dr. Pepper jingle online, and Dr. Pepper liked it, and now it's being used in commercials.
Dr. Pepper, baby, is good and nice. Do-do-do.
I'm back to doing what I love and more, thanks to the Good Feet store.
Do you spend half your day walking or standing while working? If you have foot, knee, or back problems, the Good Feet store wants to help you like we helped Tony.
Pain that I experience the most is foot pain from being on my feet all day. You're having to kind of talk to yourself through the whole shift, like, I got this, I can do this. Before, I felt defeated, and now it's like, all right, let's go. I'm ready. A whole new life, like sunshine coming on.
And how about working more comfortably, like Dennis?
Working at an amusement park, it's always on your feet. I just couldn't take it, but I didn't have a choice. I just couldn't believe that putting these arch supports in made that much of a difference that quickly. I could do my job and I could take care of my family. I know what my tomorrow's gonna be. It's gonna be positive.
You deserve a better life too. Stop in the Good Feet store today. We have locations in Farmington, Riverton, and Sandy.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
More than 50 million Americans suffer from a form of mental illness.
And Utah isn't immune, with nearly 1 in 3 people dealing with anxiety, depression, or another form of mental illness.
But there's hope. We can all take action to keep ourselves and our loved ones safe.
That's why KSL has teamed with the Huntsman Mental Health Foundation to bring you hope and help you thrive.
It's Healthy Mind Matters.
Find out more at healthymindmatters.com.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Coonahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have Leaf Filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
To get this special radio offer, go to leaffilter.com/deal for your free gutter inspection today and get up to 30% off. That's leaffilter.com/deal for up to 30% off. leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Pierpont Place, winner of the Salt Lake Chamber's 2025 Icon Award, marks its 20th anniversary this December. As a full-service venue, it hosts and designs events from small intimate gatherings to large extravagant celebrations. With a creative team of designers, planners, and event pros whose expertise ensures each event is unforgettable. CEO and lead designer Janice Bowes joins us with more.
Pierpont Place, Salt Lake's premier event venue, offers a customizable, versatile, and full-service space for weddings, corporate events, birthdays, special celebrations, or parties of any kind. Located in the heart of downtown, our modern venue offers flexibility and a very personalized experience for every event, whether it's an intimate gathering or a grand gala. We host up to 500 guests in a mix and mingle style or 250 banquet style. Our extensive inventory or creative expertise combined with an award-winning team guarantees every detail is flawless. At Pierpont Place, we are bringing to the table 2 decades of exceptional service, customization, and innovative design that sets us apart as a top choice for a memorable, one-of-a-kind event your guests will be talking about for years to come.
Pierpont Place brings people together, creating unforgettable events while supporting and collaborating with Utah's local vendors and businesses. This talented small business provides a positive impact across the state. PierpontPlace.com. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
This message is for Shauna, my mom, who just finished her high school diploma. I wanted to say I'm so proud of you for finishing school. You told me it's never too late to achieve your dreams. I hope to make you as proud as you have made me.
When you graduate, they graduate. Finish your high school diploma for you and for them. Visit finishyourdiploma.org to find free and supportive adult education centers near you. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources. Greg Skordas had to step away for the last segment. So joining me now is producer Caitlin Johnston, and we're going to be talking about Dr. Pepper and the story of their new jingle. It's such a fun story. You're just absolutely correct, Caitlin. So how did it start?
Okay, so I saw this in the headlines today, and I actually saw that this impulsive idea that happened on TikTok that I saw it on TikTok, went viral about, I think it was in December. And it was just this girl and her phone and a safe, intrusive thought of just to share something that she had thought of. And so let's listen to that TikTok if we can.
I have a theme song for Dr. Pepper, and it goes like this. Dr. Pepper, baby, is good and nice. Doo-doo-doo.
And this was just like you and I do this all the time. I share just random thoughts, you know. We just have this song that's stuck in our head that we come up with. And she's just like, it looks like she's just sitting on her bed, just like recording this, no filters, no production, nothing. And then we learned that I believe it was this week that it aired that Dr. Pepper picked this up. And you heard that. It's catchy, right? And so I heard it the first time and I was like, that's got to be something. This is going to turn into something. I know it is. And it was aired, I believe, during a college football championship, and other brands also caught attention of this as well. And I think we have a story from ABC that lays that out a little bit.
Subway, Popeyes, and Wingstop were among the many big brands who reached out as the original video racked up 40 million views. The real Dr. Pepper also responding, writing, "Hold on, you might be onto something."
Dr. Pepper, baby, is good and nice. Doo-doo-doo.
Well, that something turned out to be a TV commercial on one of sports' biggest nights.
So that really is amazing, right? And it is inspiring, I think, that she could do something spur of the moment and get 40 million views.
Which this is the good side of social media, I would say. That something kind of random in your brain just turns into something that can actually be, financially beneficial. She's definitely going to be getting paid for that.
Oh, yeah.
Being aired, especially during, football.
Yeah, it was the football championship where Indiana ended up taking it all, right? And they went 16-0. At least I know that.
Sure,
fact.
I know nothing about sports other than it's a thing that a lot of people watch and I try to follow. But yeah, so the biggest takeaway for me with this is just, as someone who's on social media, and I try not to be on it a lot, but I did see this unfold. I saw the commercial happen and I was like, wow, okay, cool. But just post the video. I say that with take that with a grain of salt, but post the safe, funny, harmless, intrusive thought, because you never know when that's going to, catch on and just, get the attention of Dr. Pepper, for example. So I just really like this story, and I just felt like it's
really
the good side of social media, because we do hear a lot about the bad side of it.
That is really fun, actually. I wanted to ask you, as somebody who's been following the legislature, because you have to.
I try.
When Greg and I have been talking about the legislature, and I know we still have 43 more days. Is there anything that stands out to you as somebody who maybe hasn't? Well, you haven't been involved as long because you haven't been alive as long.
No, I have not been. I'll be honest. Like, just starting this job 6 years ago is when I really started to pay attention.
Yeah.
I'm 30 years old, so I wasn't always aware of everything that was happening on Capitol Hill and how it all worked and whatnot. And I don't know. It is interesting I think what's interesting to me is just listening to the lawmakers and you, and Greg also, just all of these bills that are being put forward are usually it's by a story, someone's personal story. And that's really what matters, right? We hear all the time, there's a new bill proposed, all of this stuff, but at the root of it is a story and a reason that it's happening.
Yeah.
Whether you agree with the legislation or not, turn off your alarm if people heard that. That's me. We were on Capitol Hill yesterday, and we had many lawmakers in person. And so being face-to-face with a lot of the people that are behind the scenes on this is just getting to the root of those stories, I think. And it's not just lawmakers. There's advocates and people, everybody up there. So
There's an interesting bill that we didn't talk about yet today, but it's a bill by Senator Jan Plum. And what was interesting to me is it tells insurance companies that they have to pay for anesthesia if they authorize a procedure that requires anesthesia, and they can't say that time elapsed. So I haven't talked to her yet, but I'm thinking the story behind that is somebody got pre-authorization for some kind of surgical procedure that needed anesthesia. When they finally got it done, somehow the pre-approval for anesthesia wasn't covered, and they ended up having to pay out of pocket. That's what I think the story is.
Yeah, that I am interested. I will reach out to her today, because we talked about getting her on this morning, and we just kind of ran out of time to do that. But yeah, no, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I'm just curious to know, like, a lot of how this all stemmed, and what changes can be made to protect people and things like that. So there's so many bills, it's overwhelming, which is also something we talked about.
Yeah, and we talked with Governor Cox yesterday, and I talked to him about the number of bills. Now we're up over 500 already, and it's only day 2. And he said, a couple years ago, he vetoed a bill and said this could have been an email. But he shared a story of a lawmaker who came to him and said, I had 4 different bills from 4 different government agencies. He said, I called each one of those, and they were phone calls and emails, and I've dropped the bills. I mean, so sometimes there's that. Sometimes I think people will request a lawmaker, say, hey, this really bad thing happened. Will you run a bill to make sure that bad thing doesn't happen again? And sometimes the answer is sometimes people just do bad things, and a law is not necessarily going to stop it. And sometimes we have big bad things that happen, like the Charlie Kirk shooting, where you start to say, oh, we weren't looking at safety on college campuses in the same way prior to that as we are right now, and there's legislation there that absolutely will go through. I'm pretty sure.
There were some very monumental events last year, to say the least, and I do think it's interesting to see how that will unfold throughout this session.
It does. I do have some fun facts for you today, Caitlin. So today's International Sweatpants Day.
Does that mean, well, I missed the memo. Was I allowed to wear sweatpants to work? That
Well,
would
you
have been
could
great
have
to
for
know
me.
this morning.
You could have for me. So on this day in history, and it's January 21st, it was interesting to me that King Louis XVI was executed by guillotine on this day in 1793. But George Orwell, so you're a youngin', but George Orwell wrote the novel 1984,
I'm
right?
aware of that, yeah.
He died on this day in 1950, and he was only 46.
I didn't actually know that.
Yeah.
This is why we have your fun facts. I don't know if that's a fun one, but yeah.
It was way before the actual calendar year, 1984, and I included a quote from that book in my Utah Policy newsletter today. So interesting. In 1953, did you grow up with the Richard Scarry books? He's like the children's author. It's like he has the worm that drives around in the apple and.
That sounds familiar.
So he was born on this day in 1953, and so was Paul Allen. And Paul Allen went on to start a little company in his garage that he and his partner called Microsoft.
Oh, okay. That sounds like it was a big deal.
So 1953.
That was another probably impulsive thought that came to
yeah,
something.
probably, yeah. So in 1975, female journalists were allowed into men's professional sports locker rooms for the first time. This was an NHL All-Star game in Montreal, and I was a kid. I was still a kid, but I remember when that happened because my parents found it very shocking that you would have a female reporter in a male locker room.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say about that or how to feel about that.
Because
But
now
also,
it's like
we need to
normalized,
report
right?
on things, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Now it's normal. And again, you're young, but I loved this song in Saturday Night Fever by the Bee Gees. Hit number 1 on this day in 1978. It stayed there for 24 weeks, basically a half a year.
Missed opportunity for me not pulling that song
for music. And then another one, it was Black Monday for worldwide stock markets in 2008. So remember with the Great Recession, we had this huge downturn. Today was the day where the stock market just plummeted.
Well, I was in 8th grade not knowing what was going on, but
nobody really knew that day.
It's
right?
I know there was a big problem happening at that time.
There was a big problem. And then finally, the first case of COVID-19 was diagnosed in the United States on this day in 2021.
Wow. That's interesting to think it was 2020 was 6 years ago.
6 years
That's
ago
crazy
already.
To me.
Yeah.
And then we had the earthquake quickly.
Well, that was
after.
in March.
Traumatizing. I'm having flashbacks. Don't take me
that
back.
was in March. Yeah. And I think if I remember, the first case was like Seattle and he had traveled internationally, something like that.
Very interesting.
Well, that is it for Inside Sources.
Midday, I'm Maria Shilaos. KSL's top story. The Trump administration's income tax cuts in the proposed spending bill having a big impact